Wasabi Wallet. Unfairly private.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome, and thank you to all of the plebs here that made this show possible. This is going to be an absolute fucking banger. It's going to be crazy. I've got the dream lineup that I never thought would happen, and it's thanks to the Cyber Hornets making this happen. So very happy to have you guys all here for an episode of Why Are We Bullish? You guys already know the guest list, but we've got American HODL, we've got Preston Pysh, we've got Jeff Booth, we've got Michael Saylor, and we've got Jack Mallers all here to riff on why we're feeling bullish. It's very exciting. Now, as always, this is live. Anything can happen. Quick disclaimer from my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Again, thank you guys. We're going to get rolling. As always, I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.
Now, before we bring our guests in, we're just going to take a quick look at where we are in the market. Right now, we're sitting at around 61,760 some odd dollars per coin. A single US dollar will pick you up 1,619 sats. Stack them while you can. 88.97% of all Bitcoin have been mined. And in terms of fees, the mempool is pretty busy right now. 175 sats per byte will get you into the next block. Even if you wait an hour, 136 sats per byte. So, if it doesn't need to get done, maybe hold back and save yourself some sats. Of course, before we bring in everybody, quick shout out to sponsors of the show, Ledn.io. You can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. For me personally, it has tended to be if I needed dollars and I didn't want to sell my Bitcoin because that's taxable and I'm worried about having to buy back in at a higher price. I can use them to get dollars into my bank account. And when I pay that back, I get back the same number of sats. That's what's important to me. Up next, of course, we have the Kobo Vault, one of my regularly used hardware wallets. I love this thing. Fully air gapped, meaning you never plug it into anything internet connected. It is all done offline via QR code. And I've been using this a lot for multi-sig alongside a cold card. Love the thing. I've got a tutorial on it. Check it out. Links below. Of course, I am living on Bitcoin. So one of the ways I help myself do that is BitRefill. You can pick up any gift card that you can imagine there. And you actually do earn sats back in the process. You can use Main Chain and Lightning Network for cheap and quick transactions. And finally, if you're backing up your wallet, please do be careful. I've heard some horror stories this year. Paper sometimes is just not good enough. You want to get it on steel. So the Bill Fodl over at privacypros.io helps save you from things like fire, water damage, or just accidentally throwing the damn thing out. And with that, I'm rushing through these because I really want to get everybody in here. So I'm going to kill this screen and I'm going to start bringing people in. I'm going to bring in Mr. American HODL, Preston Pysh, Jeff Booth, Michael Saylor, and Jack Mallers. Guys, holy crap. Everybody's here. The chat's going wild. This is crazy. Thank you all for being here. I'm just going to quickly go down the line, let you guys introduce yourselves as if you need to. But regardless, HODL, can you start us off? Who are you?
Hi, I'm American HODL, a well-known Twitter personality, and I'd just like to say hello, Jessica.
Off to a good start. Preston, let everybody know who you are.
Bitcoiner, podcaster. Just thrilled to be here.
You're way too humble there, my friend. But let's move on to Mr. Jack Mallers. Dude, can you let people know who you are?
Yeah. Yo, my name's Jack. Bitcoiner as well. I build things probably most known for Strike. And this is a rock star panel, man. I'm stoked. Thanks for inviting me. And I'm happy to be here.
Unbelievable. Let's move on to Mr. Michael Saylor. I'm sure most people watching understand who you are, but let people know who you are if they're living under a rock.
I'm the CEO of Microstrategy and Hello, Jessica.
Where's my leather jacket? It's across the room. I won't grab it right now. And and Mr. Jeff Booth took my first tweet when I announced that this panel was happening. I said something like, "Bring your fucking cowboy hats." So I can't remember what I said, but he took it quite literally and actually brought his cowboy hat. Jeff, can you introduce yourself?
Thanks. Bitcoiner, entrepreneur, and author.
Awesome. And his book, The Price of Tomorrow, on my bookshelf behind me, is excellent. If you haven't read it, please do check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Why Are We Bullish? And this show has a formula. Basically, we go by the 3 R's. Each one of us gets to give a reason why we're feeling bullish. Then we do a riff with all of us on that reason. Anybody who wants to comment on it can. And then finally, we rotate to the next person to give their reason. So really, really simple. But I do need to break from tradition here, as per the show, because the Cyber Hornets have been up my ass all day. And sorry to put you on the spot, Michael, but what is with this analytics, chainalysis shit going on? Can you please enlighten us? And this, just so you know, this is coming from Bitcoin Magazine. They said, Microstrategy announces exploration of Bitcoin analytics offering as part of our core product suite. You said we're just acquiring and holding. This was not well articulated. And then somebody pointed out a specific note. We are also exploring opportunities to apply Bitcoin-related technologies such as blockchain analytics into our software offerings. Mr. Saylor, you have some cyber hornets that are looking to sting that you might need to answer to. Can you enlighten us?
Yeah, I saw that this morning, and I wasn't quite sure why the story was popping up. But I mean, the Bitcoin Magazine's a reputable source, and so then I looked, and there was an SEC filing, and so I looked, and then I realized our proxy statement dropped, and a public company generates thousands of pages of filings, and so I thought, well, there must be something in the proxy statement that they were glomming onto. So I swear to you, I read my entire proxy statement, and I read it's like 100 pages, and every line. And I went and I searched for Bitcoin, and I searched all through it, and I couldn't find any reference to Bitcoin analytics. I just couldn't figure it out. So then I said, well, we're not doing it. I mean, we don't have a Bitcoin analytics strategy, so I couldn't really figure that out. And then later on, I think Ellie posted that one sentence from the cover letter of the proxy statement. And, full disclaimer, the way this works is like an army of lawyers and marketing people along with the corporate executives draft this stuff. And that letter was drafted like 6 months ago or 4 months ago. And and it probably went through a committee, and I probably reviewed it while I was reviewing about 100,000 other things. So I didn't actually know it was in the letter. So I read it. I thought, that's a little bit, that's going to be misleading. The Hornets aren't going to like that one. So I went and I posted. It's like, yeah, if I had to say again, I would have said it differently. Bottom line is we're not really doing any blockchain analytics, and I wouldn't want the Hornets to sting me to death. It would be a very unfortunate end, and I know they would end me. So the right way to look at it is like, there's one sentence there that I would rewrite if I could. But otherwise, our strategy is we want to buy Bitcoin. That's the strategy, and hold Bitcoin. So the rest is like not happening.
So like on a scale of what's the good an analytics company on a scale of the bad one, Chainalysis, all the way down to Glassnode, how evil are you?
I don't think we're not evil. We don't.
Okay, good.
But our only goal would be to do something that would be good for Bitcoin. So we found a way. If I could find a metric that would convince every institutional investor to buy more Bitcoin, then I would publish that. And if we could use our technology to make Bitcoin more secure for every hodler, then maybe I would do that. But right now, we've been scanning. We don't really see anything that merits commercialization. So you can expect that we'll use our technology as a force of good should we find an opportunity to do so.
Perfect. I like that answer. But what I will say is any plebs that are watching that don't trust and prefer to verify, if Mr. Saylor happens to become evil, which I'm not expecting, but if it happens, I have a list of easy things that you can do to just protect yourself from on-chain analytics. So you can coin join. You can use non-KYC exchanges like Bisq. You can learn about UTXO control. You can utilize things like the Lightning Network. And as long as you understand the trust trade-offs, you can also utilize something like liquid sidechain with confidential transactions. Now, conveniently, I also posted links to tutorials on all of the above preemptively in the show notes. So if you're curious, you can go and do all of those things right now. But with that said, thank you, Michael, for getting that out of the way. Let's dive into the real show, because this is what everybody's excited for. We're all super bullish. I already know that. Let's just go into it. I'm going to start us off with a topic, and then we'll get rolling. Preston will pull up next. But my reason for being bullish right now is that I believe that the plebs still have the home field advantage. And the reason for this, I believe, is twofold. One is mindset, and two is actually, to me, ease of entry. And there may be some pushback on this from the panel, but let's cover the ease of entry first. I think that the plebs are nimble enough, like they don't have the red tape, right? They don't have to deal with red tape in acquiring Bitcoin. You know, a lot of the plebs watching here have had the pleasure of front running Michael Saylor for many, many years. So, but let's put aside the fact that his DCAs destroy our regular stacks. But it's very easy for individuals to get into Bitcoin. Institutions, a little bit more red tape right now. But I think where the plebs really pull ahead currently, and why it's still a plebs game and a plebs world, is because the rest of the world is not in that mindset. They don't understand what's happening. They're still in a fiat mindset produced by a fiat world. You get examples like Keith McCullough. You know, he's trying to time everything. He's talking about quad 4 previously in Michael's interview, you know, which quickly turned into quad poor. You have Jim Cramer bragging about dumping half his stack, selling his funny money for real money just the other day. He's celebrating that. They don't understand the game. The plebs do. It's not about dollar accumulation. It's the only number that matters is how many sats are actually being held. So, you know, I see that Bitcoiners are kind of miles ahead in this line of thinking. And some of the high net worth individuals are just getting to this place. They're just, you know, we see the early inklings of it, but the plebs still have a whole lot of high net worth individuals to front run still. Now, when they do get it, that red tape, I think, will go away. It will become a lot easier for them to get in. But right now, and I'm looking at all the plebs right now, you do have an opportunity to kind of tip the scales, to abandon your fiat slavery and build dynasties on a foundation of immutable code. So please don't fucking waste it. I'm going to pass it down the line here. If anybody has comments about the idea that this is kind of a unique moment in time for plebs to tip the scales, I think I'm maybe going to start here with HODL, because he embodies a pleb pretty good.
Yeah, I've talked about this before. Is I think our culture has just pervasive nihilism going on, and you know, this degen trading, whether it's on Wall Street Bets and GameStop and AMC, or it's Dogecoin or whatever it is a fundamentally like nihilistic, fatalistic position. You're saying, listen, my life is crap, and it's going to be crap for the foreseeable future, so I might as well YOLO it all in, you know, with a bunch of leverage, and maybe I'll get a Lamborghini out of it, maybe not. It doesn't matter to me because my life is already bad, right? Whereas Bitcoin is bedrock. It is rational optimism. It is people building for a hopeful future so that they can have families and a prosperous life and the American dream that we were all sold, you know? So like, I'm always super bullish when I see people who get that instead of people who are chasing the USD gains.
Yeah, I'd agree. Now let's go to the other side of the aisle here. Michael, you came in last year like a tidal wave, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this dynamic of people that are nimble enough as individuals, and I'm talking more percentage of net worth, to be able to get it into Bitcoin and understand the value of doing so. Are you seeing the inklings of, I guess I know you are, but I'll let you speak here. What are you seeing on your end in terms of mindset?
I think it takes, as I said before, like 40 hours before you really fully appreciate everything about Bitcoin. And if you're a genius, you might figure it out in 10 hours. And if you're impatient and you spend 1 or 2 hours, like you could see it, the people that are like, they buy it, they sell it, they love it, and then they sell half of it. And then you get the sense that they probably didn't put in the 40 hours. And so I think that what's bullish from your point to your point, right, is the plebs that put in the 40 hours, or they put in the time to understand what they're doing, have the conviction, and they have strong hands. And I think there's a lot of people, I went and I talked to, I don't know how many billion-dollar entities when Bitcoin was 10,000 to 20,000. And I said, you guys, you have to buy this. This is the most screaming home run, the best thing I've seen in my entire life. And I proceed to explain in detail over 60 minutes. At the end of 60 minutes, I get to the punchline, which is, you can make $1 billion here, and it's the easiest $1 billion you're ever going to make. All you have to do is buy $1 billion of Bitcoin and announce to the public you bought it. That's all you have to do. They've all got $10 billion. Okay. We get to the end of 60 minutes. I'm all revved up. I'm like, you guys got questions? I can answer more questions. We can go another half an hour if you want, because this is important to the world. And I would assume you're going to make $1 billion. It's important to you. They're all like, we have another meeting we got to go to. Sorry, we got to go. So the meeting ends, they go off. And then occasionally, like, I'd find that, obviously some bought it, right? Because it went up. But then I'd hear, yeah, well, we bought $350 million and then we sold it at 25,000, or we bought it at 15, we sold it at 30, or we sold half of it at 30, or like, yeah, we did this and we, when it got ahead of it, it got ahead of itself at 37,000. So we took half the position off, and I'm like, And the point is, like, there are people in the world that'll buy 500 million of this stuff, but they still won't put more than 2 hours into the research. And then, and then they'll dump it after they get a 42%, run up.
Do you think that's going to be a prevailing theme, like through the year, where companies make crazy gains and then they dump a good chunk of it?
I think that it's Bitcoin is much more collared now. I think it's run up 30%, down 15%, up 40, down 20. It's because these hedge fund and institutional investors that they know enough to know that maybe they should buy some, but they don't know enough to know not to sell it. So I think that they're the ones that they buy in because it's a good trading idea, and then they sell it after it runs up 50% or take half off, and they feel really smart about that. I took half, like I took profits. I took half. I can't remember who said that recently. Somebody said, yeah. But and then it comes down again, and they're like, "Oh, I sold it at 40,000, but it hit 30,000. I'll buy back in." And so they're, you could hate on them because they're selling when it's high, but then when it comes, the same people that will sell it as a trading idea up 50. They'll buy back in because they know it's a good idea if it goes down. And so they're stabilizing the entire asset for everybody else. And I guess that's good, right? We need, by the way, if there's no one to sell it, like I've been saying since it was 10,000, I'm like, who are these people selling to me? Like, why would anybody sell this to me? I can't believe it. But, my friend Eric Weiss says, Mike, if there's no one on the other side of the trade, you couldn't have bought it. Yeah. So we kind of need someone to be a skeptical mercenary when it goes to 30. So other people all the people you recruited that started stacking when it was 30, they couldn't have stacked if there wasn't some skeptical institution that was selling it when they were coming in And the same is true right now.
Yeah, I'd agree. Let's toss it to Preston. Preston, do you have any thoughts on this? Like the dynamic between the plebs, the nimble plebs stacking sats ahead of institutions here?
In a way, it almost seems like I like the biology comparisons when you look at the white blood cells kind of devouring a parasite. And I kind of see that being analogous to what you've seen play out since the beginning, which is you have a bunch of people who are able to figure it out very quickly, and they've just been biting away at the parasite of fiat printing and debasement that's been happening on a global scale. And everyone understands that there's no end in sight. In fact, the incentive structure is just going to keep on going. And in order to take something like that down, it's going to take an army of people that just continue to figure it out and understand it and do the hard work, like Michael's saying, and putting in the hours to fully understand and troubleshoot and ask themselves the hard questions in order to arrive at the thing that seems so obvious. When you look at why is it so hard, why is there a cognitive dissonance for people that are managing a lot of money to not understand this? And I think that the article about the yuppie economy, or the yuppies not being able to figure out,
Yes,
perfectly describes kind of what's going on. And it's trust in the old system and this mindset and this ego that's associated with, I'm the reason that I've accomplished this. It's because of my superior knowledge and why I'm so excellent, of why I'm in this elevated position, of how close of vicinity I am to the printer. And so for somebody to be told that that's not why, or that's not how the system works, and this really inconvenient truth, if you're right about all the things that we're talking about, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to hear it. It's super inconvenient if you're right. And so they just default back to, I've been managing money for 30 years and there's no way that something like that could happen, right? They just default back to that narrative. So it's an interesting dynamic to see play out on such a macro scale, but I fully believe that's kind of what's taken place.
I love that. Let's get thoughts from Jeff, and then we'll drop down to Jack. Jeff, what have you noticed in terms of hurdles that people are trying to get over to get into that pleb mindset of it's not dollars, it's sats that we want to accumulate? Oh, Jeff, sorry, you're muted. One sec. I'll unmute you. There you go.
Thank you. We measure a system from the system we're in. And so that's really hard for people to understand, that most people are measuring that system and all their interactions from that system while trying to understand a different system. And if you're fair with every single person on this call, including me, or I'll just look at my journey, I didn't start with all my net worth. I started with a little bit, and I started to understand the system is going to change. The existing system that I live in is going to completely unwind, and there's a new system that powers the individual, that gives all the power to the individual. And it's such a revelation. It's such a revolution that it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But if you think about all of the people that are coming on, not just hedge funds and everything else, it's more about the individual. Because the hedge funds are sitting on top of a whole bunch of people's cash, and this gives those people individual power to be able to make this decision. And building on what Michael said, if everybody knew what we knew, it wouldn't be an asymmetric bet in Bitcoin anymore. It'd already be priced. So that knowledge. So I kind of think I gave this out to everybody in my family, extended family, in Christmas, hard wallet, money on a hard wallet, and a whole bunch of people, because they wouldn't listen to me. And I wanted them to understand it. But now once they had it, now they're doing the research. Now you get more and more bullish. You start to understand, you start to do more work on it, and you bring other people on. So it's just cracking that code. Give somebody $100 on it and they'll follow it. They'll start learning.
I do love that. And I have to say that there's been people in my family in the past number of years that have kind of come on board, and it almost gave me a sigh of relief seeing that my family are somewhat insulated from this terrible currency. And I'm on the Canadian shekel up here, the Canadian moose shekel. So that's, even worse than the US dollar. It's not the reserve. So to see them insulate themselves at least a little bit with some Bitcoin has been very, very nice. But let's jump down to Jack, the true family man, the Bitcoin family man here. What are your thoughts? I mean, you very much are a member of the pleb gang, and you've
fuck yeah, I am.
Yeah, and from that foundation, you've built some crazy shit that further benefits plebs. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on the dynamics here as different types of people come into this market?
I've said this as of recent, and I think inspired by a lot of Michael's comments over the last 6 months. An underappreciated property of Bitcoin is that it's a network, and it's an open network. And open networks have, by default, built-in economies of scale and network effects that are far superior. And Michael's drawn parallels before to the iOS App Store and what that was able to develop and inspire, and the network effects that were inherent on a system that can build on top of each other, and it spreads like wildfire. And Bitcoin is an open system. It's open source money. And the people I was hanging out with in El Salvador that make $300 a month, we're seeing the same percent gains that Michael Saylor, billionaire man, sitting here with us, was getting. It's the same thing. It's accessible to all 7.5 billion people on the planet. And so I think why that matters to plebs and the topic we're discussing is, in an open system with those network effects, the fact that I get to go on TV and watch BlackRock say, yeah, it's kind of interesting, we're going to wait on it and see. Well, as plebs, we don't really give a fuck, and nor do we have to, because it's open source software and we can download it and we can get access to this asset class and see the same gains as billionaires that we've watched on TV with little to no effort. We download open source clients. There's an exchange in every single country. There's liquidity in every single currency. And that's a property of the system that non-plebs are not associated with or familiar with or used to. And that, hey, Coinbase, you mind delaying your IPO just a little bit, because we're going to buy at valuation of 50 billion and we're going to hike this thing to 100 billion and do a media run, and then we're going to dump on everybody else. That's not how this money works. You guys take your time figuring it out. I figured this out 10 years ago, and I have full access to buy this thing as much as I want, when I want. It's open 24/7, 365. And I don't think traditional finance is accustomed to that idea, is that it's an open network, and open networks don't care. And we certainly don't care either. And so I think it's a fascinating property of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a self-fulfilling prophecy. In that sense, it's a snowball rolling down a hill. In that sense, it's a vicious cycle that leaves behind anyone that doesn't get into it. And it greatly benefits whether you're a pleb or not a pleb. It greatly benefits early adopters. It was designed that way. It was built that way with intention. And so I think people greatly, greatly, greatly underappreciate that property of the system, an open monetary network that has these network effects and economies of scale that I don't think we've ever seen before. We've seen open networks and what they can do. An open monetary network is tremendously powerful and new and fascinating, and is greatly advantageous to plebs, because I don't give a fuck what BlackRock thinks. So
if you're watching this and you're not breaking your thumb smash buying, I don't know what you are doing with your life. That's the kind of rant that I like to hear from Jack. All of your interviews on anything I've seen you on, I love how you just hijack the questions and you're like, listen, this is what the fuck I have to say. It's so fantastic. We're going to keep rolling here. We've got 2,300 people watching live. So smash that like button. Give this a share. Let's keep going. I got to get to Preston Pysh. And we're going to get, now that we've kind of wrapped this topic, we're going to get his reason for being bullish. Preston, I hand it to you.
So I could talk about the fact that you have Ray Dalio that just had his big announcement saying that he thinks it's going to be, everyone should have Bitcoin in their portfolio at this point. But that doesn't even really excite me anymore, because I think the bigger thing that is the story, at least for me, looking at it from a finance lens. So everyone's got their different lenses that they're looking at this from. And the thing that I can't wrap my head around, and that I keep asking on Twitter, and I'm trying to find some of the smartest people to really kind of pick through this. But when I'm looking at the derivatives market that is now way more mature than it was in the 2017. At the end of 2017, you had a cash settled CME futures market that was stood up right there kind of at the last minute for the last 4-year cycle. And now you have a physically settled, which is a enormous difference. You have a physically settled derivatives market for options and futures that is in place all over the world. We're talking billions upon billions of dollars that people are taking Bitcoin, they're locking it up in escrow, they're writing contracts because they're trying to capture a spread, okay? And a spread that just keeps getting bigger. So when you're thinking about people that don't even want to own Bitcoin, okay, they're just wanting to capture this risk-free spread. And they're saying, my God, I can do 40% risk-free and not even hold Bitcoin at the end of the day. But in order to put that trade on in a neutral kind of way, I have to lock up coins in order to capture it. How the hell do you put that back in the box, right? Because when you want to step into this market and step into it in a neutral way to capture this spread that just keeps getting bigger, and the more volatility just attracts more like honey to or flies to honey, or cyber hornets to honey. What happens is you just have more people that want to come in and write these contracts, and they want to write it in longer duration so they can capture bigger spreads so that they walk away from the trade net neutral. That claws more and more Bitcoin off the market. Okay. I don't know how it stops. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it reverses. I don't know. But I do know one thing. I find it extremely bullish. And then I also see it bullish over on the borrowing and lending side. And I'm not trying to promote that people go out and borrow and lend and do all these fancy tricks, these fancy financial tricks, because really kind of all you got to do is just buy Bitcoin and hold it. But all these things that are happening in the ancillaries, all the network effects that Jack is talking about, all this building and this construction from an engineering standpoint that's happening right now, okay, is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And I just don't know how you put the genie back in the bottle. So when Michael says things like, all your models are destroyed, it keeps going up forever.
Laura.
There's a reason, Laura. There's a reason that people are saying these things, and it's not because it's wishful thinking. It's because there's mathematics behind the stuff that's happening. And at the root of all of it is this proof of work protocol that's just systematically clawing fiat currency into it and eating it nonstop. That's why I'm bullish.
Is this the contango / sat squeeze that I see all over Twitter? Is this your reference? Yeah. That's what I thought. Now, I mean, the beautiful thing there is, I mean, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? And you have a bunch of guys here that, from what I understand, are not playing the stupid games. Like, you know, you've got Saylor just dollar cost averaging us all into oblivion. You've got Jag building amazing shit and, you know, building stuff for the plebs. You've got HODL selling minivans or selling whatever vehicle and riding ET bikes to stack more sats. And you've got Jeff Booth over here advising people of the perils of not embracing Bitcoin. So
we bring Jeff for the sex appeal. I mean, it's
it's true.
The cowboy.
Yeah, it's hat tipping intensifies. I know. I'll let Jeff. Do you want to tag on anything to that? Do you have any thoughts on what Preston said?
Yeah, I've talked with Preston a bunch about this, but there's 130 odd trillion dollars of negative real interest bonds today. So on your best day, you're going to lose money. The best day. There is no way out of the existing system. It is just math now. It's going to, and remember, that's the risk-free rate that every other economic calculation is built on top of. And people call Bitcoin a risk. Yes, it's an asymmetric bet, but it's actually, it might be the greatest risk-free trade in the world, right? It's the greatest bet in the world because all of the risk is on the other side of the coin, but people misinterpret risk because they've always lived in that system. And so it's a misinterpretation of risk. With Michael, Jack, everybody on this call, but a bunch of us have built businesses on understanding when everybody else sees something different, and you go the other way and create something with crazy risk. A lot of people think entrepreneurs are great risk takers. They're not. They're asymmetric bet takers. They understand where there's actually more risk in the existing system, and they go somewhere else. So that's what's actually happening with Bitcoin, and so all of it, as Preston says, this is that's going to accelerate, and as that money flows into something that's better protecting value, it accelerates.
I love it. Michael, I'm going to let you follow this up if you want to talk. I know that you're not playing these stupid games, but do you have any thoughts on this kind of locking up of capital in Bitcoin and like the wells running dry?
Well, I think the magic of Bitcoin, to Jack's point, is it's an open monetary network. And one aspect of the open network is an open banking network where anybody can create their own bank, and Strike is a bank, right? Just like Square is a bank, just like PayPal is a bank, just like Coinbase is a bank, and Binance is a bank, and every single application that handles Bitcoin is a bank. And it's a question of market dynamic and incredible innovation. And I'm excited about that because that part of the network, the banking side, is going to go to 8 billion people over time. I'm convinced of that. Everybody with a device. But Preston's referring to another aspect, which is I think on one hand, we've got an open global banking system coming, and hopefully on Lightning, right? Crossing all borders, at speed of light. The other side of it is a global money market, an open global money market. I think Preston's describing, you could call it just global money markets, fair, equitable, competitive money markets. And in the US, you can't easily sell the future and buy the spot and capture the contango. But in Singapore, you can, or Hong Kong, you can. So if you go to FTX or you go to Binance or something, and if you have the right pool of capital, you can short the future, buy the present, lock up the Bitcoin, capture 40% risk-free. And what's fascinating about that from my point of view is that if Bitcoin was a US only or it was captured by a single regulator in a single jurisdiction, it doesn't matter what jurisdiction, any jurisdiction, that regulator would then start to regulate. But because it's global and it crosses every jurisdiction, then if there's one country on earth, if there's one entrepreneur, if one dude goes to Singapore and creates one website that actually puts the right future and the right derivative and maybe creates a yield curve, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 year yield curve. If one person does it, then somebody on earth with capital can find their way to that one person. And you could bring $1 billion of capital or $100 billion of capital or $1 trillion of capital. So it's kind of like you got a dam. If there's a crack in the dam, all the water's flowing out of the dam. It only takes like one conduit. So the beauty of Bitcoin is that a hodler in Alabama can buy Bitcoin once and not touch it for 27 years. And if some entrepreneur in Singapore sets up a website and they pioneer a set of derivatives, and if they screw it up and they go bankrupt, it doesn't hurt the hodler. And when the 97th entrepreneur creates the 42nd website and they get it just right, then some capitalists will figure that out and they will find a way to create an entity to move $100 billion to close that arbitrage spread. But to do that, they're going to have to lock up the Bitcoin and they'll bid it up. And the price of Bitcoin will go up by a factor of 100. And the hodler might wake up from the Rip Van Winkle slumber 27 years later and find out that their Bitcoin went up by a factor of 1,000 because somebody they don't know in a place they've never heard of did something rational with a huge amount of capital because it's a global money market, but everybody's got the same asset. And so that makes the chain as strong as its strongest link instead of as strong as its weakest link. And it's the opposite of fragile. In a fragile system, I have a centralized entity, and if anybody shuts down my my arbitrage, or anybody shuts down my functionality anywhere on the planet, I can't offer it everywhere else. That's the fragility of centralized systems. But in a decentralized open system, if anybody on the planet can do something intelligent for the human race, everybody else in the system benefits. And there's a lot of risk to trade, and there's a lot of risk to offer the thing. And someone might set it up and fail, but the next person will succeed. So the bottom line is CZ and Binance or Sam Bankman-Fried, they're sitting doing stuff that we can't do in New York City that's benefiting people in New York City and people not in New York City. And nobody can stop it. And we don't even have to understand it. And you don't have to play the game. I agree with you. Like, do I want to juggle razor blades? I don't want to engage in complicated stuff to get a 18% yield that's taxable, that results in 12% after tax, and risk losing everything. And maybe I've got a regulatory issue, and maybe I couldn't do it. Maybe I can't do it on my exchanges anyway, but I could just sit and do nothing and benefit from it. And I think Preston's.
But I'm going to cheer
on it.
I'm going to cheer on these people that are juggling these razor blades. Like, I highly encourage you to keep doing it.
It's great for everybody.
It's a competitive money market, right? Just like a competitive banking market is, if Jack can create a better bank than Bank of America, he wins.
I wrote the other day, for the first time in history, the free market has come to money.
That's right. And this is the best part, is because it's immediately settled and you're dealing with stable coins and getting this immediate clearance, people who are accustomed to traditional finance are looking at these antics and they're saying 50x leverage, that's insane, this is all going to blow up. No, it's not, because it's traded 24/7, right? Immediately settled. And if you're on the wrong side of the trade or you're too leveraged, you blow up, and the person who's actually on the other side of the trade is safe and sound, because we're dealing with things that settle immediately. Jack's building it, right? He can stream you 1/100th of a penny or whatever it is to whatever currency you want to receive it in, and it settles immediately. So when you're setting up derivative exchanges and your traditional Wall Streeters aren't accustomed to what that means in an over collateralized environment, it's two different like economies that are being constructed side by side. They're incongruent with each other. And if you're doing business the old way, in a fractional reserved way that's under collateralized, you're going to have your bell rung so fast that you just can't even comprehend it. Right. And I'm here for it.
Let's let Jack elaborate on that a little bit. Because some people watching may not fully understand what Jack has built here, but I'll let you take it away, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of topics. I have a lot of thoughts. The first, in relation to what Preston's talking about, you're talking about a money that's natively digital and physical, and it lives within a network that achieves all the properties of existing monetary networks. It defines identity. It defines payment standards for sending, payment standards for receiving. There's no sense of credit within this network. There's no sense of counterparty risk within this network. All of that is solved by math and cryptography. Oh, by the way, you can engineer more features on top of it. So betting against the existing feature set or the existing usage of the network is betting against humanity and human life itself, because you're effectively proxying a bet against engineering, which would be the most nonsensical, asinine, stupid thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And so what's happening within the Bitcoin community is Satoshi laid a framework and an initial design to cement the monetary policy and a lot of the characteristics that represent the best form of money of all time. And then as engineers, we get to just hack on top of it. And the recent development that Preston is referencing is that we've added near instant cash finality and extremely cheap or practically free cash finality to an asset class and to a physical digital commodity that is inherently global, and operates on a network that it operates 24/7, 365. And so if you think of that, I don't give a fuck if you like Bitcoin, if you think that the color's weird, or you don't like how people act on Twitter. If you just live within that framework of the properties that money has, it's very obvious that it's a monumental advancement for money as a technology, and that no money has been able to carry those properties and characteristics. It's inherently global, 365, 24/7. It lives within a distributed network. There's no central point of failure. There's no sense of credit. There's no counterparty risk. It has the sufficient liquidity in any currency you could ever dream of. And it's in an open system. So everyone, to Michael's point, in an open system, new network participants are additive, even competitors. That's just by definition. That's not exclusive to Bitcoin. That's just how networks work. In closed systems, new participants next to you are subtractive. If someone's using Venmo, that means they're not using Cash App. That's subtractive. That participant is subtractive. In an open system, the fact that someone else spins up a Lightning service or Bitcoin service is additive. You're natively interoperable in an open system. And so all of those things it's fascinating. We're making monumental advancements in money as a technology. This is probably the largest, outsized impact any group of people can collectively make on society. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
I literally, every time you talk, I just pull up the banner that says preach. I thoroughly enjoy your rants. Let's HODL. I know guys, I left you last. Everybody's bitching. Okay. Yep.
I've got to leave. Preston. I'm so sorry, guys. And I'm sorry to interrupt. This is amazing. Trust me. I wish I could stay. That's okay. Painful for me to leave right now.
He forewarned me, and don't worry, I have somebody that will be jumping in on Preston's behalf in just a second. But Preston, thank you for being here. I'm going to get HODL's thoughts, and then I'll bring in our.
Such an honor to be with all you guys.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so HODL, anything you want to add on to Preston's topic?
Can I just?
Oh. HODL, you're cutting.
So, fuck you, Greg. You suck. Anyway, if you're in traditional finance and you have the nice home in the Hamptons and the trophy wife and all the trappings, and you are underperforming Bitcoin, you need to explain that. Explain that to your investors. Why are you underperforming Tahini's restaurant? Why are you underperforming Bongman 420 on Twitter? Why? And why do you deserve all the lavish trappings that our society, these are trophies for winners, and you are losing the fucking game. You don't deserve any of it. And all these crazy animals in the chat are coming to take it from you.
I think our next guest is going to have something to add on there. I feel like he's only going to further embolden you. Matt Odell, welcome.
Hey.
How you doing? Holla.
How you doing, man? Welcome.
Hey, you guys saw you there. Killing it in here.
You were killing it.
I was like,
chat, bro.
Who the fuck am I going to add in for Preston? Well, Odell will keep us in check, I guess. So, welcome, dude. I don't know if you were. I mean, obviously, you were listening. Do you have anything to add on to Preston's topic of Sat Squeeze? I'm sure all caps.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're experiencing one right now. I think our boy Michael over there. Is basically inducing it in all of us through his intense FOMO situation he's put us in. I would add to the people in here. I respect all of you motherfuckers. I'm curious, like where you think price wise we're gonna be at the end of this year.
Oh, I 500K. But wait. Like. Within this year, like that's not like in December.
December 31st, 2021.
I'm gonna say 500.
MicroStrategy has like 140,000 Bitcoin at this point. Things are really heating up. Where is Bitcoin? Where is Bitcoin at this point?
You know what? I don't. In a long enough time frame. Laura, it is indeed going up forever. But I don't think we're past cycles. I'm going to break from Michael's assumption. Oh, I don't know if that's fully your assumption. I know that in general, you think it's going up forever. But I do think we do see those big corrections still. The reason I say that is because fucking Doge is through the roof. There's still morons like Jim Cramer celebrating selling half his stack. There's still so much irrationality, which hasn't even begun. Paris Hilton just dropped an NFT. Like this, it's 2017 with like a line of Coke is what's happening right now. And I think that we do see cycles, but I think that less and less people give a shit about the cycles because they're thinking longer than 2 months ahead. So I don't know, like if Michael, if you want to reply to that, do you think that the cycles are diminished or done, or I don't know, what do you think?
I don't think the cycles are extreme as they were before March of 2020. I think if you look at Bitcoin daily chart, if you look at the chart every single day since March of 2020, you see this pattern of serpentine growth where we advance by 30%, come back 15, advance 40, come back 20. And I almost see some of the volatility coming out. So I think that the institutions, they're going to have a damping effect on the upside. Like you're probably not going to get a parabolic 10x like over a month or 2 months, but they're going to have a damper on the downside. You're not going to get these crashes either. You're going to have speed, guardrails on either side. And otherwise, I think the primary driver is just going to be the wall of institutional money coming here. But maybe we could just segue to that. Why am I bullish? I'm bullish.
Do it. Take it.
I can't give you the price. My lawyers are watching. I get in trouble. So I can't give you a price, Matt.
I apologize. I have no lawyers watching.
I try to figure out how to talk in all caps. This is what I think. But
I disagree with caps. You should just do lowercase.
Oh, really? Lowercase now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What I do think by the end of the year, I think that we're certainly going to have ETFs in the market, and that'll be a big thing. And I think we're going to see all the major banks offer Bitcoin as a fund. You saw Morgan Stanley did it, but I think it's reasonable that you'll see Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Citigroup, et cetera, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America. I would think that the top 4 or top 5 banks by the end of the year will be offering Bitcoin funds. And you've already seen about 12 of notable influencers over the past 3 months flip to be, they went from being anti or skeptical Bitcoin to acknowledging that it's around to stay. So there's if Morgan Stanley had 18,000 people out there talking about the fund, you multiply that by 5, and I think you have 100 to 250,000 or more of these advisors for these banks starting to talk about it. And there's going to be a gradual spinning up process that will be good long-term for the stability of the asset.
Awesome.
So Michael, just to get you on the record here, above or below 500K at the end of the year?
He can't even answer.
It's going up, Matt. It's going up forever.
Forever, Michael. Forever.
It's going to go up and then come down and then go up and come down. But generally, it's going to be moving in the upward direction.
So I was gonna get your thoughts, and I was gonna move on to the next reason for being bullish here too. But I want to bring a little bit of a surprise into the mix here. This is a gentleman that very much contributed to my lack of shitcoinery. He very much pointed me in the right direction. He helped me along in my early journey of Bitcoin. He was putting out content like none other, and he was like a voice of reason through the shitcoinery of the days of old. And I hope that a number of you on the stage will know and have seen his shows previously. He recently, well, not recently, over the last couple of years, he's gradually gone dark. And he's gone on to greener pastures, though he is still an avid Bitcoiner. But that's what you can do when you are a Bitcoiner. So I would like to welcome into the show Vortex. So Vortex, those of you that watched early on, dude, welcome. Happy to have you here. You messaged me and said that you maybe like to jump in for a little bit. Any plebs that have been watching this that have been around, dude, welcome.
First of all, man, let me just shout out everybody in this chat. Everybody has been keeping Bitcoin because of the people in this chat. The price keeps pumping. That's what it really is. So I just have to shout out to everybody here. Michael, Jack, HODL. I mean, everybody here, guys. Odell, of course, just everybody here. Like everybody. I just want to say huge shout out and just thank you so much for keeping my Bitcoin price going up and going up and going up higher and higher. I just can't thank you guys enough for that. But really, look, it's been a crazy time. This is, Bitcoin is now passed to be the 6th largest currency on the planet, passing up the British pound. We have Bitcoin rising to $1 trillion market cap faster than anything else. I mean, faster than Google, faster than Microsoft, faster than anybody. It still has the highest Sharpe ratio out there. I mean, virtually everyone who has ever said anything bad about Bitcoin in the press has now rescinded that and backtracked and said something good about it. We've come a long way from purchasing eighths of medical marijuana for 2.5 Bitcoins on Silk Road in 2012 to where we are now. I have to say, it's been an absolute epic journey to watch this go, to see people like Michael come in here, to see the community grow, to see the Bitcoin price rise. Everyone here is really the reason why I'm bullish. And look, again, as everybody has heard this phrase saying over and over again, Bitcoin is open, borderless, decentralized, censorship resistant, and controlled by no central authority. And that is why Bitcoin is winning and will win and continue to win. And it will not stop winning for the next 1,000+ years.
I've been missing your show, dude.
The return of Vortex.
Come
fucking
on.
beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
This is something else. Dude, how you been?
I've been good. I've been enjoying Bitcoin retirement. Starting my own thing, doing my own stuff outside of Bitcoin. It's been pretty fun, but of course I can never fully leave Bitcoin. So I've been paying attention for the most part, as much as I can to everything. I don't understand the laser eyes yet. But
what don't you understand?
You're a Bitcoin boomer. That's why you're the boomer.
Nothing to understand, bro.
It was after my time, so I'm not quite sure. But look, the things that Jack is building. I mean, every time I look around, Jack's got a new announcement with the Lightning Network. I don't understand how he does that and still sleeps. But
he doesn't sleep.
I had to come in.
Man.
I just heard this was the place for Bitcoin mega bulls, and so I had to come on and say hi.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here. We're going to keep this shit rolling. And since we're just busy boosting Jack up, I'm going to let Jack drop his reason for being bullish. So take it, man. What's up? What's on your mind?
You know what? I got to admit, I was a little and still am a little confused on how this show works because Bitcoin is designed to pump forever. It's part of the, Matt. Yeah. That's a Matt Odell quote. And so if you understand Bitcoin, you're inherently bullish because you understand it. So I don't know if I need to give a particular reason
It's whatever the fuck has you jazzed at the moment. And that can include what you're building. Like if you want to just drop a CNBC style rant on fuck everybody and fuck the system, you can go do that right now, all you want, whatever you think, man.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to shill what I'm building. Why am I bullish Bitcoin? I think the beauty of Bitcoin lives within its simplicity, in that we were able to engineer collectively as a community software that can execute on what's been pretty well known as the properties and characteristics of money that would be able to retain and store value and appreciate against shittier assets, shittier collectibles, shittier nation state issued currencies. And it's the design of the system. And if you can create a monetary asset that has known issuance, known monetary policy, fixed in supply, no reliance on any central authority, cannot be co-opted by emotional human beings. In theory, it's going to pump forever, measured against particular shitty pieces of paper. And piggybacking off what Michael said and why he's bullish with the institutional wall of capital, I'm just going to overlay some very simple logic on to why that's happening. And so when you think about the United States is in debt, and everyone's in debt though, and that's just kind of a function and an output of the system that's been accruing and have been built over the last God knows how long. Usually there are two options when you're in debt. Typically, if you're just like a normal pleb, one, you pay it back like a good man, like a citizen, like an honest man. And the other is you default on it, usually. Is the United States going to pay back the debt they're in? No, it's not an option. Is the United States going to default on it? Are they going to call BlackRock and say, oh, you know, all those government bonds you guys have been buying and all the money? Sorry, I kind of fucked it up. I gambled I put it all on red at the casino, and I'm defaulting on the loan. That's not an option either. And so you'd probably be perplexed and be like, what the fuck are they going to do with this debt? Except they have a cheat code where they have a third option. They can just print more of the money. And then instead of becoming the lender of last resort, they're the buyer of last resort. And what you're experiencing today is unprecedented macro environment where asset inflation is scorchingly high. The only thing that's going as parabolic as Bitcoin is asset inflation. And that's because, you know, Bitcoin is a proxied measurement and an index on asset inflation, probably the most accurate one. And so what's happening is you've got a world that's in debt, that cannot pay it back, cannot default on it, and has no choice but to pump Bitcoin. They have no choice. And whether they know it or not, they have to print more dollars, and those dollars have to flood into harder assets, whether that's real estate, whether that's precious metals, whether that's Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is designed to accrue against this exact macro environment. For those that have been around for a decade, this is how we built this fucking thing. Houses don't have every 4 years. You know, like Chicago real estate's not having every 4 years. In the year 2141, it's not going to be mathematically impossible for me to buy the fucking penthouse with a women's closet in it and build another floor on top of this building.
It might be though.
In 2141, it will be not if Ken Griffin waves $250 million in someone's face. They're going to go build that. It is mathematically impossible to mint another Bitcoin that exceeds 21 million. Real estate doesn't have every fucking 4 years. Gold issuance is totally outside of our control. If engineering gets good enough, to Michael's point, we're gonna we're gonna go mine the fuck out of gold if the incentives are there. And so, no, you're living in a world where, and we all knew this was coming. The only way out is to print your way out. And inflate assets around you. And Bitcoin was designed to be the hardest of those assets and to appreciate against what is an absolute mess until it collapses. And so why am I bullish? I don't know. I read the white paper. I remember sitting in the kitchen with my dad when I was 18 years old, and he explained it to me. I'm like, okay, so we just are going to, as a family, buy a lot of this thing and just be rich as fuck and watch everything else collapse. Got it. Understood. Bullish for the rest of my life until I die. And that's why I'm bullish.
I love it. And to your point on housing, like there was just an article the other day. I'm in Canada here, and the average price of a house in Canada is now right in around $750,000. The average price of a house in Canada. It's fucking insane. What average person has that money to put even a down payment at like 5% on a house like that? Mostly nobody. It's people that are using it as a hedge against what they know is shitty currency. But I digress. I'm going to pass this, given what your topic was. I think, Michael Saylor, considering you've based your entire treasury strategy on this, you might have a few words to say on what Jack just detailed.
Well, I guess based on macroeconomics, we should all be more bullish that there's remarkable consensus amongst every government on earth and every politician on earth that interest rates should stay low and monetary policy should stay loose. And I think we're starting to see over the past month indications of clear inflation, right? We saw inflation in the commodities. For housing, we're just starting to get the year-over-year stats for housing over the past 8 weeks. I saw 11% up. I saw another stat that average house was up 15% in the US. I wonder what the housing prices are at in Canada. I saw another stat that said they were up 18%. And then
It's 30% here.
Up
You guys
30%.
have the Canadian pesos fucked, man.
Yeah, it's actually the Canadian moose shekel is what the correct term is.
Oh my God.
So, the conventional macroeconomic wisdom has been we're going to wait for CPI inflation before we agree there's any inflation. But I think that over the last 12 months, we've won over a lot of the macro hedge funds and the gold bugs, and we're going to win over the rest of the gold bugs. And, Paul Tudor Jones and Stanley Druckenmiller and Bill Miller and now Ray Dalio and the like. I think we're winning them over to the point of view that monetary inflation trumps consumer inflation. And I also think that mainstream media that has been saying there is no inflation, in the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I'm sensing a change in the narrative across mainstream newspapers and television that they're acknowledging that it looks like there's some inflation, even amongst the most conservative indexes. And that's probably going to put the inflation issue on the forefront of everybody's mind, and all the conventional investors that have been waiting for signs of inflation before they do something. Maybe this next 6 months, I think maybe we start to see them looking for their quote unquote inflation hedge, and they come to life.
I love it. The chat is shouting at me to toss it to Jeff. So Jeff, do you have any add-ons here?
Yeah. So when you talk about this housing, is for instance, and if you go back to before this recent time with staggering amount of stimulus, remember over the last 20 years there was $185 trillion of extra stimulus globally. That stimulus is why houses go up, right? So the only question you have to ask is there going to be another 185 trillion over the next 10 years? And if you realize that the market has to, if you understand the real macro, the exist and to kind of build on what some of the others have said, we live in an inflationary system that there is no way out. If you let it fail, the counterparty risk falls all the way down to the sand, and there is no money backing it. So so every bank collapses, every institution, every government collapses. So you cannot let deflation happen. But we live in a technological driven world where we get more for less because of technology. So those two forces are fighting against each other. And so no matter what happens from now on, the existing system cannot get out of it, and it has to keep printing no matter what, because the minute it stops, everything unwinds. So that's what the existing system looks like. And so it's kind of when we talk about price of Bitcoin and pumping a Bitcoin, I could give a fuck. Because in general, Bitcoin will go up against every other asset class forever. But you're measuring in a fiat currency when we're talking about price of Bitcoin, and kind of reinforcing that houses will come down against Bitcoin, everything will come down against Bitcoin forever, because that's the natural technology brings prices lower. And the only reason why prices are going higher is because the system is manipulating prices to go higher forever. If that manipulation were to stop, you would see the truth. So if you now go up, but it's not just the U.S. It's every single country in the same boat, trying to drive the same thing. So the real risk, the tail risk, is what that causes to humanity, right? Because you're picking the pockets of most of the people and you're giving it to other people, giving it to the rich. And it's easy to turn governments when you do that. So you live in a system today that is not a free market system, and it needs to control. It needs to print more, manipulate. Corruption kind of breeds on that, and that system will get worse. It'll keep getting worse. Bitcoin is the antithesis to that system. It is the truth, and if you measure in Bitcoin, you'll see that truth evolve more and more in everything.
I'm gonna put HODL on the spot to follow up really quick because he's actively pouring. Go.
Shit, I fucking forgot what we were talking about because I was making myself a list.
That's exactly the response I was hoping for.
Well, whatever Jeff said is right because Jeff is fucking smart.
Yeah, it's a downward spiral, right? It just, there's no other way out that is viable, especially with when it comes to politicians. Like, you're not going to come in and be like, yeah, we're going to do austerity.
But
That's
Ben,
not going to fucking
and build on that, and that's what actually people are starting to see in Bitcoin, and that's actually what's bringing in the big money. When you actually start digging into this, what you realize is the existing system has no way out, and so what they're telling you through socialism, through anything else, and no matter which actor in the existing system, they are telling you that the only way the existing system works is by complete destruction of the free market. It's the only way that it works. It concentrates all power eventually on an axis towards the existing system. And Bitcoin is the opposite of that system. It puts the power in individuals and entrepreneurs and a free market. That's what the fight is about.
HODL, how does this play out? They full control versus zero control. What wins?
So I'm just gonna go for it. Saylor,
Go.
I respect the fuck out of you. Why are you concerned that you have 90,000 Bitcoin in a custodian? Like, should MicroStrategy hold their own Bitcoin? Is this something that MicroStrategy is considering? How do you think about the risks involved with having someone else hold that Bitcoin for you?
You know, when we started thinking about buying it, we had a choice. We could have acquired a lot of Bitcoin through a fund, and then we would have been locked into a custodian forever. But we decided to buy the underlying naked asset so that we would have control over the custodian. And right now, my view is you want to own Bitcoin. And for most people, most corporations and individuals, my advice would be buy as much Bitcoin as you can. Buy it, but if you're not in the position to self-custody it immediately, buy it through an agent or some avenue where you have the option to self-custody in the future when the time comes. There could be a time when MicroStrategy will self-custody, and we have the option to do it. I'll answer this in two ways. I mean, as a publicly traded company, I have all sorts of compliance and charter and corporate governance issues and accounting issues that I have to work through in order to properly assure all constituencies that we manage the corporation's assets properly. And that doesn't really preclude switching custodians, splitting custodians, or self-custodying. But in the first 12 months of a public company doing this, clearly we're walking before we're going to run. And I think that the only way that you're going to be comfortable with Bitcoin is to have the option to move it to any custodian in the world or to self-custody it yourself at all points in time. So always have the optionality. I think the way this thing ends with regard to the inflation is the economies are going to inflate, and they're going to do that until they can't. Right now they're not paying their bills with taxation, they're paying their bills with inflation. Weak currencies, weak economies are going to collapse. Some countries will lose their currency privileges. They're just going to go away, the Venezuelas of the world. And the strongest countries will spread their currencies. And then at some point, I'm an optimist. I believe that the United States and Europe and the Western world will embrace Bitcoin because it's great technology that's going to be worth hundreds of trillions of dollars to the human race. And once they realize that it's great technology, it's good for America, it's good for American technology, it'll be good for the dollar, it'll be bad for the weakest currencies, then at some point they will realize they can't keep expanding the supply of all the monies. They'll slow it down. They'll will move with moderation, and the government will start to pay its bills with taxation. There'll be political maneuvering. Who should pay the tax? Will it be corporations? Will it be an income tax? Will it be a capital gains tax? Will there be some other contribution? The world will restructure itself rationally, but in a world where half of the money is Bitcoin, it'll be some kind of peaceful negotiation with all of the entities involved in order to build a better world based upon a better technology. Nobody expects that we'll keep inflating the currency at 20% a year forever, except if the country is Venezuela and they do it, we know how that'll end. So I'm expecting that in the Western world, they'll embrace technology. They will eventually change. Like even Jerome Powell in his interview, he says, well, we can't keep doing what we're doing forever, but the current amount of debt we can sustain. And in the future, something will have to change. Like I think all the politicians know something will have to change in the future. I believe, Matt, I like the idea that Microstrategy could take custody of its own Bitcoin when and if it needs to. It won't happen this year, but life is long, and what I've said before is you can't trust any custodian. So maybe you have to move from custodian A to custodian B. Maybe you're in, if your custodian is a certain state and they change the laws, you need to move to a different state. Maybe it's a certain country and they change the laws, you need to move to a different country. Maybe you'll decide that there's a multi-signature arrangement that you trust. And I think the fact that there could be 1 billion people with their own custody, and the fact that everybody has the ability to take custody of their property, is the one thing that creates keeps the integrity of the network sound. And I think it's the one thing that gives me hope. And at the end of the day, the reason that the politicians in the Western world will negotiate in a peaceful fashion to come up with an arrangement is going to be because the companies that have the Bitcoin will have the option to move the Bitcoin to a different country or to move a different custodian. And the point that I will make in my debate with Mr. Giestra next week is that the difference between having $1 billion of gold and $1 billion of Bitcoin is if you have $1 billion of gold and I drop a bomb on your building and I kill everybody, I can dig through the rubble and take the gold. The gold will still be there. If I burn your house down, the gold will still be there. I can shoot you and take the gold. But if you have $1 billion in Bitcoin and it's protected by multi-sig passwords and you kill everybody, you're not getting the Bitcoin. And so I think that Bitcoin lends itself to peaceful resolution in a rational fashion with consequences. And I think that certain other types of wealth, like land, gold, physical, tangible wealth, they lend themselves to just seizing it at the barrel of a gun with force. And I think you'll see that play out. You even see it playing out right now outside the US, right? Where a country says, we don't want you to buy Bitcoin anymore. They might be able to stop you from buying it or selling it, but they can't stop you from owning it. And they can't take it away from you. And so I think that that's a great thing for Bitcoin. And I don't think you have to. There are some companies that couldn't buy the underlying Bitcoin, but I encourage everybody that can to buy the Bitcoin and be in a position to take custody of their keys or to take custody of their keys. And it just depends on the entity.
Hey, Michael, if this is you walking, I can't imagine you running. You said you wanted to walk before you ran.
He's gaining speed. Maybe what we can do to help him gain speed actually is I feel like this is a good topic for Vortex to jump in. because from what I recall, we did have discussions, or you've had discussions on your show about things like Executive Order 6102, confiscation of people's gold, things like that. And yes, with a, as Michael was saying, with a multi-sig setup where you retain the majority of the keys, then that is outside the realm of worry. Like it's possible to ascertain how much you're holding, but it's not possible to confiscate them as long as you retain the majority of keys with something like Unchained. But if it's just straight in a custodian, you could have that snap. Hey, this is the deal. Tough shit. You can't remove from this custodian. So I don't know, like Vortex, what's your take on is this going to be a peaceful revolution, or is there going to be a lot more pushback than we think?
Yeah, so we've definitely talked about this a lot on the show back in the days. For those that don't know, I did run a show, a YouTube channel show from the year 2015 to 2020 through to the end of 2019 there. And I was on Twitter pretty much. I was on CoinDesk comment way back in the day in 2012 for a couple years, and then went on Twitter and was tweeting about Bitcoin for pretty much every single day for like 5, 6, 7 years straight. So we've definitely talked about this a lot on the show. And really, I think that people don't quite understand that this is the end days. This is revelations. However, it's not going to, be the end of the world when the positive side actually wins. I mean, because this is revelations. This is the two largest financial entities on this planet that could ever be fighting for their lives here. And one has a freaking, one has some weighted gloves, and one is about to get owned. All right. So Bitcoin is definitely going to be coming in with the weighted gloves. And I think people don't quite see yet that anything compared to Bitcoin is literally, we're talking about beads, plastic beads versus actual hard solid gold. That is the difference between Bitcoin and everything else. And people also don't realize yet that Bitcoin is digital, but it's not non-physical. You can still put it put the keys inside of physical objects. And so that's another big thing. But really, people are talking about NFTs and some kind of digital real estate and things like that. But look, Bitcoin is the most valuable digital real estate on the planet, and it will be the most valuable digital real estate for the next 1,000 years to come. So anybody talking about, trying to, do the NFTs are going to, become huge and everything like that. Of course, they maybe will, but let's not forget like where this all started. This all started with Bitcoin. The very first smart contract was on Bitcoin. So that is something also to take away. But when it comes to these two systems playing out, I definitely have been on record multiple times saying that this is going to play out for the next decade or two. This is going to play out for decades. The US dollar isn't going to just die tomorrow. Like that's going to go on. They can, I don't think people realize they can print the debt to $100 trillion plus. They can go beyond that even. Now, can they go forever? Of course not. But they can kick that can down the road a long time. And so that is why, that's why I say this will play out for decades, because Bitcoin, we love it a lot, but it's still tiny. It is still early days. It's still early days. People don't realize, but it is still very early days for Bitcoin. And so this is going to play out for decades. It's not, they're going to try to throw all of their different tasks and their different things at it, at Bitcoin, at their different plays. They have some plays in their playbook still left that they can do, as Michael was talking about earlier. But they're basically blanks. Like there's really nothing that they can actually shoot at Bitcoin and have it actually penetrate it in any single way. So what's going to happen is that the old system is going to keep printing money. It's going to keep stealing money from people every second of every day. And Bitcoin is going to keep on thriving, and it's going to be like a heartbeat, keep pumping out those transactions every 10 minutes. And we're going to see what wins. But if you put these two systems up to, against each other, it's pretty clear to me, and has been clear to me for many, many years, who is actually going to win. It just, the thing is it's win. All right. That's what it's about, it's the timing. And Michael has played it pretty well, jumping right in at the bull market, but you can jump in at any time and still be profitable. Like literally every single top in Bitcoin gets overridden every single time. It doesn't matter, so people talking about, all of this money, into Bitcoin and things like that, and all of these billionaires and stuff, but it's for the regular people as well. As long as you dollar cost average, it doesn't matter if you put $100 or $1 billion, you're going to be a part of this new system, and this system will continue to thrive, and not just survive, but thrive over this next decade. So put the two systems together. They're going to compete and they're going to fight. But I don't think there's going to be any type of world war or craziness over that. They just at the end of the day, people don't actually want to see a war. It's bad for business. It's not going to happen. There's going to be cold wars, and cyber fights and things like that. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is going to be still strong with its million cyber hornets, continuously protecting it, continuously updating the code. And there's just really nothing that just nothing that anybody can do about it. Whether you like or hate Bitcoin, it's not going away.
I will echo the sentiments of our chat here. Miss my Vortex rants. So
yes.
Yeah, go ahead, dude.
We at Strike, I really deploy a mental framework on how we think about things that I think is additive to Michael's thoughts and how he's thinking about like nation states potentially competing, and that you can just up and move yourself if the United States gets a little too aggressive and how they're going to regulate you. At Strike, we think of Bitcoin as the world's first open monetary network, which I've said before on the show, and the best monetary network. But what's interesting about an open system and an open monetary network is things like how PayPal won. PayPal was first to market. And PayPal can win on competitive pricing because of how big they are. They can live within the moat that they've built. And in closed systems, competition and winners win for various different reasons. In an open system, winners are ones with the best experience and the best brand, right? If you walk into a coffee shop and there's one singular open interoperable QR code and you can scan it with millions of apps, you can scan it with Coinbase, you can scan it with Cash App, you can scan it with Strike, you can scan it with the wallet, open source wallet that your little cousin's nephew's dad built in his free time. That's background color is yellow and it makes cool noises when you scan the QR code. The winners, there'll be many, will be the best experience and the best brand. It'll be the ones that are free, that give you rewards, that care about UX, that overinvest in customer support, and the ones that your favorite basketball player is using and that your president is using. Those are the winners. And that's how we think about internally about product, and we optimize the company for the best experience and the best brand in the world's first open monetary network. Now, why I think that this is extensible to what Michael is talking about is that's a mental framework to deploy within Bitcoin generally. And I think nation states will compete aggressively in that same sense. The United States wants to come and bully me and overtax me, tell me I can't operate my company here, and say they're going to confiscate my shit. Well, I'm going to leave. And who's offering me the best experience in building the best Bitcoin brand? There's plenty of beautiful countries in this world. And the first country that says, hey, you know what, Bitcoiners, we think that you are embarking on, arguably the best generation of human life, the best quality of life humanity has ever seen. And we don't want to do any capital gains tax on you. You can spin up whatever you want here. You don't need a money transmission license. You can custody yourself here. You can custody through us, no cap gains. That experience is going to be directly competitive to the United States. And if Joe Biden's going to knock on my door and try and bully me, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And what's great about Bitcoin is I don't have to take on any form of counterparty risk. No one is a threat to me outside of myself. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's a beautiful system to live within. And so in the same sense that at Strike for consumer product, we optimize for the best experience and we compete on experience because there's going to be thousands and thousands of ways in an open system. There's going to be thousands of new ones each day. That's the same thing on how nation states are going to have to begin to develop legal frameworks, taxation frameworks, how they think about custody, because if you get too aggressive in some beautiful place that's on the coast of the ocean is going to let me build a big house and not tax me, we're all leaving. We're all leaving. And in an open system, these closed networks and the way these people traditionally aggressively think about taking advantage of first to market and the existing network effects that they're built upon, that doesn't exist in this game. It does not exist. You have no leverage against me. You better treat me fairly. And the best experience is going to win. And that applies to consumer products. That applies to countries. That applies to regulatory frameworks. That applies to everything. It's an open system. It's fair game. We're starting from scratch. And that's how we think about things at Strike. But I think that's how nation states and regulators will think about things as well.
I love it. It beckons to kind of the What's the book I'm thinking of? God, Sovereign Individual.
The Bible.
The Bible. The jurisdiction shopping. Also, I just picked up Nomad Capitalist, which is like go where you're treated best, and jurisdiction shopping. All of that. I think it's true. I think in a global world such as this, there's going to be pushback initially, but eventually it's going to be pandering. It's going to be, please come here. And I think, sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Build on what Jack's saying. So you have an existing system that is trying to make prices go up at all costs. I'm going to keep printing money to make prices go up. What would any technology company do? What is Jack's company supposed to do? To give more value to users. That's what you use technology for. So that's driving prices down. And as you take out labor to do that job, if you push prices up against that, you break society. So the wars and everything else that we say it's not a worry, that is a tail risk, because that's what's happening in the world today, and it's getting more and more fragile all the time while you're doing that against the natural laws of a free market and technology. That's what's happening. And Bitcoin is the antidote to that. And it enables the free market, and the abundance that comes from allowing innovation into a free market broadly to society is staggering. We can't even imagine what that looks like because we live in this corrupt system.
I think it's also important to understand too, and to remember what happened back in World War II, where they made dollars out. In Germany, they made dollars illegal. But what happened? Every single officer was stuffing their pockets with dollars. So you have to understand that's happening too. Like every single person who's quote unquote against Bitcoin right now in the public is stacking in behind the scenes. I mean, I'm sure Michael has a lot more knowledge than we knew about people in the upper echelons. But I'm telling you right now, they are all stacking no matter what they say. So yes, we could have a potential tailwind of some type of physical war, but it will be short-lived because everybody will already have Bitcoin.
Hey, Michael,
I love it.
I gotta ask you a question real quick. I know you're gonna get out of here soonish, and so check it out. Here's the deal: you have said before that your mission right now is to put Bitcoin on the world's balance sheet. I happen to have the contact info for a senior vice president at a Fortune 10 global who's already had their first orange pill session, and senior management was super receptive to the idea of Bitcoin. And the Bitcoiner who gave them the presentation reached out to me to ask you if you'd be receptive to batting cleanup.
Sure. Yeah, just DM me and we'll set up a meeting. Happy to do it.
I love it.
It's not my first rodeo. I like these things.
Let's pass. I know Michael is short on time. Just for everybody watching, here's what I'm going to do, because I have people messaging me that are like, I want to join this stream. I'm going to keep shit rolling. And if we have some transients that come in and out, as we already have, that's fine. I've got this, and I've got a bottle to top it up with. So I'm game. If you are game. There's 2,400 plebs sitting in the fucking live stream watching right now. So Michael, I know you're short on time. I'm sorry I've already kept you this long. I'm sure you've got tons of expensive things to do, but I will pass it to you last. Any final closing thoughts before you have to go?
I'm still bullish. Don't want to hear anybody sold any Satoshis. It depresses me. No Satoshis. And onward and upward. Thank you for having me today. It's been fun.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Wait. Michael, sats or Satoshis?
Depends on whether we're being formal or being casual.
I feel like we should make sats the standard. Satoshis it's long, it's
okay. Sats for happy hours on Fridays. Satoshis if I'm wearing a suit on Monday morning. You guys have a good one.
Hey, Michael.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Michael. I'll DM you that info.
All right, I'm gonna pass it to God. Who have I already gotten reasons from? I think HODL should be up next. Jack, we got yours. Jeff, we got yours. HODL, what the fuck has you feeling bullish? And I'm gonna.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just. You'll see my camera go blank for a minute because I'm changing my battery, but I could still hear you. Keep going.
All good. Yeah, one of the things that has me super
oh my God,
bullish
he can't hear us.
is
He's gone black.
Peter Thiel's Is he still there? Peter Thiel's like basically Gambit, trying to get
still
the
there.
US
You can hear you.
to stack sats. I thought that was hyper bullish because it just shows the geopolitical wargaming is starting to kick into effect. I mean, some people on Twitter thought his comments were FUD about China controlling Bitcoin, but it was obvious that he was framing Bitcoin as a Chinese weapon and insinuating that the American government needs to get their hands on this weapon and utilize this weapon against China or against whoever their perceived enemies are. And I think this is an inevitable part of Bitcoin's journey. Some of the unsavory parts of Thiel's comments are like, Thiel runs Palantir. He's a defense contractor. Some of that is like, hey, let me sanction China using my surveillance technology, right? And I think like we're moving into the big boy leagues of Bitcoin's adoption curve. And we're going to see this, regulatory cat and mouse between devs and regulators. And I say, let the horse in the gates. You know what I mean? It's a gift. It's a gift to Troy. Like, let it in and we'll see what happens. I'm fucking super excited about what comes next.
Hell yeah.
Roll.
I have no idea.
This?
We're waiting for
Yeah,
Benny.
keep it going. I like it. I like it. Sorry.
Vortex comments. You got any comments?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Vortex, go.
Well, I guess I'll just do some final comments because I got to get going too. So, just again, I want to say thank you so much for everybody for watching this. Over 2,400 people. Keep supporting Benny. He's got shows every single week, and they all, I'm sure, don't probably get 24,000+ viewers. So definitely keep supporting Benny, guys. Make sure he's got donation links. He's got a fantastic show. He's got so much stuff.
We're not ending the stream, Vortex.
I know, but I gotta leave.
Okay.
So sorry, but I gotta leave. But yeah, so just want to say all that. Make sure to keep supporting your fellow Bitcoin content creators like Benny, and it's going to be all downhill pretty much from here. So just always remember, of course, the UASF. Never forget that. And that's pretty much all I gotta say.
I just want to be clear here, Vortex. Like, I respect the fuck out of you. When you start doing that, I assume it's ending. Like that, I know that is I had years of experiencing you doing exactly what you just did.
That's my ending. Yeah, that's my ending. So I gotta end. But yeah.
Also, Vortex, man, I haven't seen you since you kind of dropped off of Twitter. But I gotta say, I was like a fucking teenager. Every Sunday, I had an alarm. I'd get lunch and watch the Bitcoin show by Vortex. When I think about my Bitcoin journey, you're such a big part of it, man. I appreciate you so deeply, and taking the opportunity to say that to you now that you're here. So thank you so much, man. I definitely would not be where I am Bitcoin wise without you, buddy. Thank you.
You humble me so much, Jack. You humble me so much, man. The stuff that you've done for Bitcoin far, I think, outweighs anything I've ever done on my YouTube channel. So
no, you're a material
so much,
part of my life, dude. Seriously. Don't underestimate your impact. Thanks, dude.
We love you
guys. I love you guys, and I'm always watching. I'm always in the background, even if I'm not on Twitter. Trust me, guys, I'm there. So thank you guys so much for everything you do.
Awesome. Cheers, Vortex. Good to see you.
See you guys.
How fucking rad is it?
Is like, like when Peppy gets killed in Star Fox, and then he comes back on level 9. And he's like, "You son of a bitch! Like, I'm back."
He messaged me and he was like, "Yo, don't tell anybody, but I would very much like to just peek into this chat, just like temporarily out of retirement." So, but he's doing well, man. He's off doing his own thing, and I think he's kind of like living that Bitcoiner dream where it's like he did his part. He felt like he contributed enough to make a difference, and then kind of like, he was like, I'm going to hand it off. I've heard HODL say that I want to make content until I feel like I don't need to make content anymore. And I think that's a pretty good ethos to have. Like, once again, like when I feel like there's no more tutorials to be made, like when it's just like, well, I don't need you to fucking make a I already know what's going on. I don't need the news. I don't need a panel, and I don't need a tutorial on a Bitcoin wallet. Then, well, I'll move on to greener pastures. But really cool to see him come back. Yeah, I thought you guys might appreciate. I have somebody. We got to wait maybe 10 minutes, but I've got somebody that wants to join us that I'm sure will be will further contribute to the yelliness of the stream. But
Bitcoin Tina. Bitcoin Tina.
Well, while we wait.
Yes.
200K by June.
Absolutely.
Is there anyone here who thinks that could happen besides me?
I
Who
think
thinks
it's
it
possible.
could?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Possible. Yeah.
No. Are
No,
you
it will
putting your name behind it?
Is Jack Mallers in a women's shoes closet right now? Yep.
It's his woman's shoes closet, though. He owns that closet.
What's everybody drinking right now, by the way? Hold on. What's everybody got? I got
Buffalo
Pike
Trace
Creek.
Classic.
This is aged 21 years.
I got some chilled rosé because I keep tweeting at CNBC, those old farts. If they want me to come on and be unhinged, I would drink fucking rosé out the bottle in this women's closet and give them all the energy they've long waited for. And so I'm over here. I'm just gonna dome this rosé bottle up. So CNBC, whenever you're ready.
That's how Pomp
I feel like
we
we're kind of keeping things relatively chill for like the presence of Saylor, and now we're like, okay, so the bottles are out, like really flowing now. So I feel like the dynamic has shifted. But this is again, thank you guys for being here. HODL, can you reiterate what the hell you were talking about before we had to send off Saylor?
Yeah, I was just talking about Thiel's comments and the geopolitical wargaming that I think we're about to see, with Bitcoin. And it's an inevitable part of Bitcoin's journey that nation states will adopt. And we've known that for quite a while. And I'm just interested to see how it all plays out. I think, after Thiel made his comments, you saw commentary from Michael Morrell, former acting deputy CIA, pretty important person who's listened to, that, Bitcoin was not used for illicit purposes.
Did you actually read the report, American HODL?
I read it, yes, and it's he sees it as a super good surveillance technology, obviously.
Yeah,
which it is currently, right? You have to be honest about that, and so there's going to be.
He's either lying to himself or he's lying to whoever he's talking to, right? Because it's not a very good surveillance technology.
They think it is, though, so it's an important part of it.
Did you see the quote?
Which one?
You know what quote I'm talking about?
I read the report.
The quote where he said, Bitcoin is the same as Osama bin Laden realizing he can't use a cell phone anymore because we can listen to everything he says.
Yeah, that quote was
where
so
he
stupid.
basically normalized global mass surveillance without warrants and said that the US government has that same capability with Bitcoin, but we all pretended it was bullish.
He was former
that quote
CIA acting director. Like, of course.
But I'm just saying he's wrong on that fact, and he's not lying to anybody. He just doesn't realize. He has no idea.
Like I said, none of them know what's about to happen when Taproot activates. They don't. They still think putting
without Taproot, the
I know.
Experienced people can use it privately. It's the problem is the unexperienced people.
OPAC list is like actually doing something. It does nothing. Obviously,
if you go kind of one level up, and a lot of people talk about China getting on Bitcoin, there's no chance that a nation state like China will accept Bitcoin because it powers the individual and it provides deflation. And if you remove inflation, the ability to print a currency, you remove power from the state. You give it to individuals. So to pretend that China's essentially right now, the game theory, the geopolitical game theory is right now, as the U.S. prints more money, China just prints more to keep the dollar in check, their exchange rate in check. So what the U.S. is doing by printing more money is actually emboldening nation states like China to be able to create a digital yuan, which is ultimate surveillance state. And that's what the world looks like on this path. Bitcoin, again, I keep saying this, but Bitcoin, the government has to get smaller because it has to negotiate with its citizens to pay tax, the right level of tax, and they can't hide the tax and inflation. So it can't overspend to what the citizens want to build a bigger government. All of that goes away. So that's kind of the real game. So when people say China is driving Bitcoin, there's no way they can. It's way more likely, as Saylor said, that U.S. which was built on freedom of the individual, is more likely to adopt a policy stance to move it out and benefit from it earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
So let's assume again, and we were kind of talking about this at the very beginning when I asked Saylor about his analytics. That seems to be a nothing burger. I'm going to toss it back to Odell here. What are best practices? People that don't like the idea of a potential 6102 and don't like the idea of the former CIA director saying that this is like a wonderful dragnet to surveil everybody. What do you do?
You have to learn, and you have to take your own fucking responsibility into your own fucking hands. Unfortunately, it's super profitable to be a surveillance company, right? And we're seeing this every fucking day in Bitcoin land. Like, the most profitable companies in Bitcoin land are the ones that are either offering you interest on your Bitcoin and they're trying to incentivize you to hand over custody of your Bitcoin, or they're surveilling your Bitcoin. Those are the two best business models in Bitcoin land. People like Jack, who are trying to offer you like easy transactions, have to like scrape by on very low fees. Like, he doesn't make that much fees off of your transactions. But the people that surveil you, they can charge whatever the fuck they want to governments. The US government will pay Coinbase significant amount of money to reclaim lost tax dollars, right? They'll do that. They'll do that in a fucking heartbeat. So this is what we're up against. And when we're talking about Bitcoin, we're talking about incentives, right? And so you measure all those incentives together. And what it comes down to is, at the end of the day, if you care about yourself, if you care about your family, you need to learn how to use Bitcoin securely on your own.
Is there like a first, like, let's say there's a pleb sitting here just kind of getting into this, being like, oh shit, where do I even start here? What's your typical answer to that question? How do I get started? What's the first thing I need to like look at to even begin understanding this realm?
I think the first thing you have to do is you just have to fucking care. You just have to realize, like, my boss shouldn't know what I spend. Like, I got a bonus the other day, paid in Bitcoin. It came to my Bitcoin Core wallet, right? I sent them my address. It got paid out to that Bitcoin Core wallet. And at that point, I have a UTXO, right? And it comes from my boss. And my boss should not know where that expense goes next. Just because you pay me $3,000 or $5,000 or whatever the bonus is, like, you shouldn't know where that bonus goes next. And in that situation, you have to use Bitcoin privately, right? And you have to learn how to use CoinJoin. You have to learn how to use fucking Lightning after you use CoinJoin. And if you don't, your boss will know exactly what you spent, and whoever you spent it with will know exactly what your boss paid you in terms of your bonus. And I think this is a very basic thing. This is something that humans should inherently realize is wrong, and they should seek to solve. They don't want people who pay them or the people they pay to know what they spend their money on.
So I just kind of want to, if you think about the average person, this group knows this down to the sand, is thinking the next level and the next level and the next level. If you start that with the average person and realize how much they have to do to overcome the barrier, or they think they have to do, you scare them like it's too complicated. What Jack said, this is an open network that anybody can participate with. Anybody. Nobody can stop you from participating with it. And the existing system is going to fail. So you need to be on this system. As that open network accelerates and the best minds and brightest minds and entrepreneurs accelerated on top of that technology, it will get better, stronger, faster, everything else on top of that, and it'll emerge. But unless you can take that first step, most people are scared to death of all of the complication on this, and it's really quite simple. And as they go buy it, it's in everybody's hands to go buy. And then, and you're right on the next step, and next step, and next step. If you're just talking to a mass audience, how do we get more people to care? The existing system is going to fail. The existing system breeds insecurity. It is picking your pocket, and you have a choice to get involved in something that doesn't. You have a choice to get on the kind of the right side of history. And the more that you learn about it, it'll take you on a journey of more understanding.
One of the analogies that I've been using for people who are newbies is, I think step one is you got to buy Bitcoin, right? We're talking about the average person, somebody's mom. You got to buy Bitcoin. Step two is you got to take custody of that Bitcoin. So get some skin in the game, get some education, get some custody going. Custody is super scary to the vast majority of people because they're not used to taking personal responsibility. It was scary for me when I made my first transaction. So what I've analogized it to is like learning to drive a car. You start off in the parking lot, and then you move to the city streets, and then to the highway. So just set up a wallet, send a little bit, test it out, get comfortable with it, play around with the network. Like if you're quote unquote investing in Bitcoin and you've never sent a transaction over the Bitcoin network, you really haven't done basic due diligence as an investor, right? So it's important to do that.
Okay. I'm going to add, sorry.
I see who you're going to add. I don't want to stop him from joining.
No, Jack, you go first, Jack, and then we'll bring in.
And then I just got to jump off.
Okay, no problem. Jeff, thank you so much for being here. Had a blast with you here, and I love your insight and your book. Everybody check it out.
Yo, Jeff, we never formally met. I appreciate you. Thank you for all your work.
Great backhand.
Good to see you, Jeff.
Your book is amazing, brother. It really is. I recommend it to people with the Bitcoin Standard. I say they should read both.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
100%. Jack, take it, and then we'll bring in
No, I think my thoughts, I believe that there's like a sense of Darwinism in this, and I group a lot of this topic into altcoins as well. The way I describe altcoins are people that are willing to risk their UTXOs to rehypothecate and generate a small amount of yield. Any of that nonsense, I group in, I describe it as an arbitrage on the trend. What I mean by that is there's a lot of people that are deeply excited that Bitcoin represents opportunity, Bitcoin represents upside, Bitcoin ultimately represents a higher quality of life. The people that have been in Bitcoin that understand it, that built companies here, that have been stacking sats for years, are presumably living a higher quality of life than those that have not. And so people are deeply interested. And so I'll measure that interest over here. Now, over here is them having a full understanding of why Bitcoin's important, the correct way to custody, the correct way to buy, the correct way to think about the world and think about Bitcoin relative to the world. And so what lives within that is what I call an arbitrage opportunity. Similarly, if someone was letting me buy this bucket hat for $2 and I have a friend that's willing to buy it from me for $10, I buy the hat for $2, I sell it for $10. That's an arbitrage opportunity. I view that similarly, is that within this gap, someone can create pink coin or red coin or wood coin or faster coin, and they can sell it to those that are very, very interested, but don't yet have that full understanding over here. And I've been in this space for almost a decade now. And what you're seeing is it was much easier 10 years ago to create a shit coin and then sell it to the general public than it is today. And I think 10 years from now, it'll be tremendously harder to do that than it is today. And life is, in the most efficient way possible, is working its way through of some form of Darwinism. And those that don't have that fundamental understanding, those that aren't willing to invest in education and in resources and in a humble fashion and being receptive to not knowing everything and being a good listener, are getting burned. And that cost is being invested in everyone, collective community's progression towards like an eventual Bitcoin standard. And so I think the way to think about it is anyone that's willing to try and attempt to trust someone else to generate 6% yield on their Bitcoin, where this asset class in its history has returned 100 to 200% annualized on average, and that if you understand the asset class and the design of the system and how it's going to perform relative to any collectible, any real estate, any precious metal, any nation state currency, that all you got to do is hold it, and your quality of life and all your dreams are going to be reachable and attainable. So anyone that prefers the former and that uses services that rehypothecate you or that buys shit coins, it just represents a severe misunderstanding and a lack of sophistication and a really just unfortunate short-term thinking approach that is devastating. And so that's how I think about it. And I'm not too concerned about it, to be quite honest with you, because I think laws of humanity and Darwinism work itself out. Like, I self-custody my UTXOs. No one can do shit about that. And people are going to learn the hard way. And I've got nothing but time as long as I can stay healthy and treat my body well. So that's how I think about it.
I love it. Bitcoin Tina has joined. I think he's muted, but hopefully, there he is.
I don't want to cough in here.
There you are. Have you been listening?
I have been listening. I was disappointed that Jeff Booth left. I wanted to say hi.
Yes, he is excellent. He's just a wealth of knowledge.
He really is. I'm a big fan of his, and I like to recommend The Greatest Game. I think it's an easy read. I think there's a lot there. It's short, but it's a great essay, and I recommend it a lot, along with a few other things.
I love it. Now,
I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something a little radical.
Do it.
I'm thinking about this a lot, and it's not going to be liked by people, but I've thought about it a lot, and it's a real issue, and it's unfortunately a practicality that someone like me is going to have to engage in, and that I've thought about. That the problem is you can't kind of have your cake and eat it too. Can't have your Bitcoin and still spend and pay your bills. You either have to sell Bitcoin or you have to find an alternative way of doing it. And I've come to the conclusion that, if you're going to be pretty much all in, you're going to have to borrow against it in a transitionary period, which I think will be about a decade, and take a small percentage of what you have and borrow against it, because when you sell it, you won't have it. You're going to be selling it. And you're going to also have to pay taxes, whether you like it or not. Taxes are a reality of life. So if you're, even with a long-term capital gain in the United States, that's going to be 20% plus Obamacare, which is 24% to get altogether. And in many states, it's going to be anywhere from 5 to 10, 11, 12%, depending on the state, which means you're going to lose by selling your Bitcoin anywhere from 24% to 35%. Which is just a loss because you're going to have to pay it to the government, whether you like it or not. So selling it means you're going to spend it. And so realistically, I think we're going to have to borrow against Bitcoin. Hopefully, there will be over time better methods to do it, multi-sig. I think that it's the best asset in the world. I think you should have, even in a multi-sig, the lowest rates in the world, because it's wonderful. It's a 24/7 asset in a very deep liquid market. But we're not there yet. I might have to lend into custodial Bitcoin to not have to sell Bitcoin. I was considering doing something and with proceeds buying some Bitcoin, hopefully riding it up in a bull market, and then selling some of that Bitcoin to pay off the loan and have some extra Bitcoin that I could then also use to borrow against. And it depends on what the bear market looks like. If it's what I think it might be, a 40% bear market, then you might take a 20, 25% loan to value or less. If it's a worse bear market, you might have to take a smaller loan to value. But it's a difficult situation because realistically, I'm not working. I'm an old man, and I'm not about to start working because I have no interest in working. So I don't have an income. So I have to find some way to pay my bills and to live nicely. I don't want to live like I lived in the 2018, 19, and 2020 bear market, wondering how the hell I'm going to pay my bills. So it's an unfortunate reality of life, but either I'll have to take some chance with a custodial solution, which I'm not happy about. Hopefully you'll get a decent multi-sig that's not going to charge me like 12% for the pleasure. Or I'm going to have to spend my Bitcoin to pay my bills. And this is just, we're not there yet. I would like this to be, I would like us to be there now. I'm hopeful that we'll be there in, maybe 2 years, 3 years. And hopefully it would be a multi-sig, which would be nice, a less of a custodial situation. But I think this is just the reality of life. You're going to lose it by spending it to pay your bills if you're, if you don't have an income. And I also have some GBTC. It's an alternative way. I'm hopeful that's already custodial Bitcoin. I'm hopeful that in a world where that converts to an ETF, it'll be marginable and optionable. And I will be able to borrow against that. Not yet, but again, in probably a year and a half. And then I can pay my bills, spend, live well. And by the way, I'm drinking sake.
Yo, Tina, you keep talking. And December 31st, 2021, what's the price?
December 31st?
Yeah, the end of the year, the end of the fucking this year. What's the price of Bitcoin?
Excellent question. I don't think of it in terms of a 1 year horizon, because to me, that's not what's important. See, I don't care about this year. I'm looking at it over the next 2 to 3 years. And I think by 2023, it's going to be in the high six figures and ultimately
Tina, that's not what I asked you.
But I know
December 31st, 2021. What's the price?
Wait. I'm going to interrupt you both. Hold on. I'm going to interrupt you both because I know Jack's on a timeline here. So we're going to get Jack's specific dollar value answer.
I want to say one thing. I want Jack to know what a huge fan I am of his. I'm a super fan of the work that Jack has done with Lightning Strike and Zap. And I just want him to know that there are a lot of people out here who really love Jack and are really proud of him. I've met Jack. I think he is a great guy, and I think he's talented. And I've talked to his mom from time to time. And there are a lot of people out here who are really fucking super proud of you. You are a star, Jack, and we love you.
I appreciate that, man. I'm a fan. I love you too. Let me know if you want to make out after the show.
Jack, no, if your name were Jacqueline, there'd be a much better chance of it. But not too many 28-year-old women want to date an old guy like me. But if you were built right and you were female, yeah, I'd be real interested. Don't tell my wife because I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble.
We'll take this combo offline. No, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm drinking rosé. I'm not gonna get emotional. That's dangerous territory. But it means a lot. It really does.
I'm drinking sake, which is why we're in dangerous territory.
Yeah, no, but I guess I'll parlay that transition into my sign off. So I'm gonna head out. I gotta take a piss. I actually have a meeting with a few NBA organizations that want a lot to do with Bitcoin. So I'll let you guys know that I'm going to do Bitcoin shit, which is exciting. But generally speaking, like, it's been the greatest joy in my life to work on this shit, man. There's no better career with monetary upside, but also just the people you get to meet and the impact you get to have on society. I wouldn't want to be alive in a different time. I feel so lucky and blessed. This crew here, fans of all you guys. I've been scrolling through the YouTube chat, and the support kills me, man. I feel like yesterday I was dropping out of fucking college, and like I didn't know how to code, and you blink. So thank you guys. I appreciate it, and I'll be on Twitter and shit. You know where to find me. And I'm gonna try and tune in to the rest of the show. If you guys stream through the night. I'll be in the YouTube chat at some point.
We love you, bro.
We
I love you too,
just
man.
may.
Take care, Jack.
Thanks,
Keep up the
man.
good work.
Yeah,
out,
you
brother.
guys too. Peace out.
Awesome.
See you in Miami.
I love it. I love how did I ended up with HODL, Odell, and Bitcoin Tina sipping on booze on a Friday evening.
Well, we don't know.
worse-
Tina is just completely sober.
No, he said he's on
Wait,
sake.
say it a little louder.
Hey,
Odell.
6102 wanted me to ask everybody if they've done a coin join before.
Uh,
But I
yes.
think I was supposed to ask that back when
Have
Michael
you?
Saylor was there and Jeff.
HODL,
Booth
have
was
you?
there. I have, yeah. Wasabi, which apparently was no good. Now that
No, I'm
Right
impressed. I'm impressed you did anything.
I followed Ben's Wasabi cold card tutorial.
Very good. Very good.
I have
did.
tutorials on everything. There's
was
no-
We
de minimis
know
amount,
Sessions. Sessions
It was
has
de
done
minimis
all the
amount.
coin joins.
I'm not going to
recommend
front like I
some
did my
of
whole stack.
Just recommended
Well-
some of Ben's stuff to some noobs.
Yo,
Have
Tina, you've never done a coin join.
No, I'm waiting for coin swap.
Yeah, that's sad.
I know.
You're such a boomer.
I know I am. It's terrible. You're right. All I do is cold.
Tina
start.
works a cold card though. You know how to work a cold card, right? That's pretty
I
good.
know how to work a cold card, and I have a
Then
node.
it can't be that bad for you then.
And I have Spectre. Yep. I have
Okay.
Spectre.
So,
I have a node.
I think you've got all the basic. I mean, is it like you're worried that the implementations right now aren't good enough, or is it you're worried about diving into just trying it?
I'm lazy. I just haven't had the bandwidth to do it. There's some stuff I just have not had the bandwidth to do because I'm just lazy.
By the way, that Fortune 10 company I was talking about, I have already handed that off to Michael. So let's fucking go.
Jesus. Oh man. Tina, I just listened to you and HODL scream on McCormick's podcast the other day. That was fun. I enjoyed that.
Screaming is because of the AirPods. You need to understand it's the AirPods situation. Now with my Air Max, I can hear much better. I almost never scream when on mic with external speakers. Of course, Max is in the room. I might have to. We were screamed a little bit on Swan Bitcoin earlier.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, I like your rants though. I like when you're handing it to somebody on Clubhouse. As seldom as I jump on, I think that's a good time, and I think because Clubhouse I'll say for the most part, most people in the room are not like Tina level where they're going to like destroy your hopes and dreams the moment you say something wrong. But it lulls them into when they get to Bitcoin Twitter. I think it preps them. I don't know. I think you're a good prep mechanism.
I'm pretty hardcore. I'm a little lazy about doing some things, which is why I haven't done some things that I'd like to do. And so there's more that I could have done, but it's a laziness. I spend too much time on things like Twitter and Clubhouse. So like I'm supposed to be getting some other work done right now, but you sent me a DM and said, would you like to join the stream? And of course I said, yes, I'd love to join the stream. So instead of doing something constructive for myself and working on stuff but Bitcoin related,
No one cares
I
about
instead
you.
jumped on the stream because I would just much rather hang out with you guys on the stream. So unfortunately, it's because I like having a good time that I get lazy and don't do some of these other things. But eventually I will get around to it. It takes me about 4 times to 5 times as long as it should. It's a kind of procrastination. And I've been this way my entire life. Did it in college. And now that I'm an old man, I can continue to procrastinate. I will probably procrastinate my way into the grave. And even though I'm probably supposed to die in 1 year, and hopefully I can put it off for another 5 or 10 years past when I'm supposed to go, so I can just hold on.
So I think the takeaways from the stream so far is we need to convince Saylor to self-custody, and we need to convince Bitcoin Tina to coin join. Is that
That was a great question. I just like, why was I the first person to ask Saylor about that?
What about self-custody? I was too busy asking him about
harder, Matt.
Yeah.
No one wanted to ask him about that. No one's ever asked him about that.
About which?
I don't.
Have they not?
About what?
There hasn't been a single question about self-custody to Saylor.
I don't know.
None
I
of the
started
guys
off with
over
whatever.
100
Everybody was
guys over
asking
100
about the
million.
like other shit, right? Everybody's asking about whatever his plans for the dragnet surveillance on Bitcoin was going to be. I honestly didn't know that he didn't self custody. That's kind of shitty.
They all use custodians. Yeah.
Everyone in the
We all
comments
have
are
to
just
do
like, they're like, Matt's hammered. Matt is hammered. You know, enjoy it.
That's good. That's the best.
Enjoy
I
Enjoy
I
it.
think
All these motherfuckers are all bearish on Bitcoin. What's your end of year price prediction? December 31st, 2021. Matt's
Tina,
hammered.
pivot.
What's your price
Okay.
prediction?
I'll
American.
do it.
Let's start with American HODL. No.
HODL.
Bitcoin Tina, we already know you're bearish as fuck. American HODL.
500.
What's your price target?
500 is
I'm
my
bearish as fuck in the near
conservative
term and bullish in the long run.
What's your price target, American HODL?
500.
500K, December 31st.
HODL's got a bet with McCormick.
I have
so
a bet
he's got
with
to think-
McCormick for
He's
Sessions.
got to think it's at least going to hit 300K.
If we don't hit
Otherwise, you just
300,
throw
I owe
away half of
McCormick
Bitcoin.
half a coin.
Sessions.
Okay.
December 31st. What's the price of Bitcoin?
First, I'm going to put in the context of what I think we might hit over the course of the year. So I think that we go well beyond like things like stock to flow, cross asset, like the 288K. I think we go well beyond that. I think we way overshoot that when shit gets crazy. I think we get like Bitcoin Tina's like, oh, we've gone too far level. I think we get to a level where it's like 800K, where everybody's saying $1 million Bitcoin next week. Everybody's fucking, oh, it's over. Hyper Bitcoinization is here. It's happening.
Yes.
And then it fucking drops out. I think that's what happens. I think that happens earlier than the end of the year because I'm basing this on when did the halving happen versus the calendar year? Because Bitcoin doesn't work in regular time.
What's the top?
What's the top? Like 800K, probably somewhere in there.
That's great.
800,
Okay,
900K.
I'm cool with that.
So,
Tina, what do you think?
I think we probably end somewhere between 2 and 3. Maybe
You're
5.
such a bear. You're
No, but-
like a piece of shit.
I know,
You're
but
like a little fucking bear.
it needs an explanation. So here's the thing.
You're a bear. No one cares.
Maybe you don't care, but it matters. So here's the thing. As you have bigger money coming in, you're going to have people like Kramer. You're going to have people who have bigger money, and they're going to peel some off. That's going to keep Bitcoin from going parabolic. Now, I think that's a good thing because I think that continues the bull market.
Okay.
I think we basically have a bull. Wait, hold on. Stock to cross asset model. The stock to flow cross asset model is not a time prediction. It's based on a cluster price that happens over a 4-year time horizon. And the number is 288 times as high as 2.5. So there is no time prediction in the cross asset model, according to Plan B. So you could hit a cluster price of 288, which means that this thing grows and you could be at 700,000-800,000 come in 2023. And
You're
I think
such a fucking bear. What the fuck are you? 700,000 in 2023.
I'm talking about the cross asset model.
It's
So
okay, dude. It's okay. We love you, bro. We love you. You're a boy.
Odell.
It's fine. It's
Odell.
fine.
Hey Matt,
You're
I have
wrong.
always said all surprises are on the upside, and the model breaks to the upside. But I think that having Bitcoin not go parabolic is bullish as fuck. And personally, I would like to not see, and I also don't think you're going to see Bitcoin trade the way it did last decade. I think it's going to trade differently. And I think that there'll be a lot of people who may lose their Bitcoin thinking they can time this market. I think you don't see much more than a 40% sell-off from a peak.
That's not my point.
And I think, no, but it matters. And it matters because
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to someone who tells people to stay humble and stack.
If it goes parabolic and if it doesn't go parabolic and it doesn't crash, it only goes down 40%, 40% is not a big move for Bitcoin. What I'm saying is that if you're planning on trying to trade that move and you don't get your 80% drawdown, you're going to own a lot less Bitcoin if you try to trade that.
Bro.
And I think there are a lot of people.
You don't think we passed 300K by the end of this year? You're
no,
a
but I
fucking
think
bear.
no. Maybe
You're
we
a
may
fucking
not.
bear. It doesn't matter what the drawdown is.
But next year, you get between 500 and 600. And the year after,
you're a fucking bear, bro.
You get between and 2023, you get between 800 and 1.2 million. And so what I'm saying is that no, I don't think
you.
What's that?
Who the fuck are you? You're supposed to be.
I have never targeted just 2021. In all the years that I've tweeted, it has always been over the course of 4 years. So what I'm saying is consistent with what I have always said. It has been generally misinterpreted by people. And I have never talked, I have been pretty consistent that this is going to happen over a course of 2021, 2022, 2023. I do not believe that Bitcoin is going to trade the same way that it did in the prior decade. I think it's going to trade differently. And I think with the people buying it, it's going to trade differently. I think the fact that you have people like Kramer, as I said, who lighten up, the fact that Bitcoin is going sideways now is bullish as fuck, because this thing, you're getting rid of sellers, you've got buyers, and when the selling finally dries up, this thing's going to move higher. And I think it'll go through a bunch of these things where it goes sideways and moves up. I think having a bull market which extends year after year after year can put us at north of $1 million before the next halving. And I think that's a much better bull market. And I think that's what we're going to see. In spite of the fact that people are people, but it is a very useful thing that you're going to have bigger money peel a little bit off. And
you talk a lot for a fucking bear, bro.
Hey, that's what it is. But you know what? I'm bullish as fuck. But
You're not bullish. You're not bullish.
Not by your definition. But I don't care. But Matt, I love you, but I don't care what your definition is. You think?
You know what I think?
And I'll think what I.
I think that Bitcoin Tina is right, but ahead of his time, because I think what he's saying right now is more likely to play out in the next cycle than the current one.
No, he's completely wrong. He's completely incorrect.
By the next cycle, you're going to see, you could very well see by 2025, 2026, $5 million Bitcoin.
What the? Yeah, congratulations, bro. Congratulations, the most conservative fucking guest ever. I want to
see this thing go parabolic, and I don't think you will, because I think you're going to have people who sell into it and suppress that, which is bullish as hell. Unless of course you have the hardest trade and it just trades up to $1 or $2 million and goes sideways for 3 or 4 years, which it could do. You could have Bitcoin trade up to $1 million and trade in a range from $700K to $1 million for 2 or 3 years after that. Could easily do that.
How do you pretend you're a bull while saying that?
Let's see what Alex Svetsky has to say about that. He's been sitting patiently waiting through this rant.
No, wait. Before that, people want to know what my prediction is for the end of the year.
Yes, Matt, do it. What is it?
And I'm thinking like 500K. I'm thinking at least 500K by the end.
Do you think that's down from something? Do you think it peaks prior, or do you?
Where do you think it'll be? Where do you think it'll be in 2022, Matt?
Yo, fucking Tina's calling for 200K by the end of the year. He's a fucking bear.
I said 2 to 3.
Period. He's so fucking off base. He's off by a magnitude.
Magnitude is 10x. So it'd have to go to 2 million.
Okay. Fuck you, bro. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I incorrectly used the grammar. You're still incorrect. You're still a fucking bear.
So 500, is that coming down from something? Is that on the way still up?
Oh yeah, we're going up.
Where's it going to be in 2022, Matt? Yo, where's it at the end of 2022?
Yo, when Tina's a bear, everyone should be stacking. Okay? Like when Tina is fucking bearish, everyone should be fucking trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. Yes. Like we're all short on Bitcoin right now.
Keep stacking. We are all short Bitcoin.
I want to hear what HODL thinks. And how good is your sandwich?
What sandwich? I think we're going to 500K by the end of the year.
Is that like 31st or like at some point between the end of the year and now?
I also think, listen, I think super cycle theory is retarded. We're gonna have a fucking winter.
I agree. I disagree with super cycle theory. 100%.
And we have, and people are buying.
But Tina's like, we're gonna have a super cycle, and Bitcoin's gonna hit $1 million in 2023. Like, how do you agree with both of those things?
Dude, Dogecoin is outperforming Bitcoin on the 5-year. Super cycle is hyper rational. The world is hyper irrational. There is no super cycle. You know what I mean? People are buying JPEGs.
Yeah,
they're buying JPEGs.
Super cycle would mean we go to $5 million like by 2023. That'd be super cycle.
But it would be a lengthening of the cycle also.
$62,000, making it up 20x from here. That's like a walk in the park. It's not even 18x. 18x to 2023. That's like nothing.
You used to be bullish.
I love how this chat has descended into us all shitting on each other for it's not the same number of hundreds of ways.
I get it more sake. Let's see what Alex has to say.
When Michael
Alex,
Saylor
are you here?
We're on our best behavior, but
I
afterwards,
Can you guys hear me?
Is it? Yeah, we got you, man.
You guys hear
Thanks
me
for
or not?
coming. Yeah, I got you.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, fucking earth. Really, really good to see everyone. Although you can't see me because I'm in a fucking jungle, and me and Francis were actually supposed to catch up, and then honestly, it started raining so hard here. It feels like the whole fucking mountain's gonna slide. So he called up. He's like, "Man, I don't want to die, so let's just catch up tomorrow."
Are you down in South America right now?
Yeah, man. Me and Francis are in the jungle over here. So, in an undisclosed location. But yeah, this is where we are.
Costa Rica. That's on my bucket list. I'm planning it.
It's a fucking good spot, man. It's a great spot. And the girls, man, the caliber of girls, holy fucking shit.
My wife would appreciate that.
But yes, she would. Anyway, so what have I missed? So you guys are doing super cycle. Actually, I'm gonna take Matt Odell and HODL side on this one. Sorry, Tina, but I think I honestly, and you and I were sort of talking about this on Clubhouse, man. Like, super cycle require like a steady upward rise requires brains. Like, I'm like, Bitcoin Cash is getting bought up. BSV is getting bought up. Fucking
Bitcoin Gold.
Bitcoin
Gold is $120.
Bitcoin Cash didn't Bitcoin
I am
Cash
so happy. I am so happy you don't agree with me. You have no fucking idea. I'm so fucking happy you don't agree. It's perfect.
All right.
It's okay.
All right. I mean, look, I just think we're gonna have a fucking another mania. Like, cause like, I don't know. I was actually at a party the other night. Well, quote unquote party. I like fucking joined this group of people, and I did a tweet about it the other day. And it's like, man, we're all sitting there at dinner, and they're all talking about how, like, they put a deposit on this condo, and like they're talking about how much fucking a breakfast or a dinner in New York costs, and all this sort of shit. And like, they were sort of like making money hand over fist. Like they were kind of like celebrity, not celebrity, but fucking like high end hairdressers and shit, charging like $1,500 for a haircut and shit. And the kind of shit that I was hearing, I'm like, these people think they're getting rich. They're buying, like, they're showing me like how much their portfolios are worth on Robinhood, and they've got fucking Coinbase and showing me how, like, what fucking shit coins they're in. And like, man, this just reminds me of like the stupidity of what you read about in Weimar Republic books. And it's just, I don't think we've reached peak stupidity yet. And until we reach peak stupidity, we're not going to see a long extended upward trend. We're going to see fucking dump and dumps of all sorts of shit. And the mindless retards that are, throwing money around at every layer of society are going to move the fact. We're going to see another winter. I'm convinced that this is the clean part of the journey hasn't come yet. I still think we're in for a lot of mess.
I'd echo that, but hey, like the thing is, none of us really fucking know, and I guess we'll find out by the end of the year what happens. So like I'm leaning towards blow off top, which like to me 288 or like 300 is not a blow off top. It's like it's like 5x from where we are. I don't think that's a blow off top from here. I think we do see that with, multiples. Like when people are looking at stock to flow and they're like, oh yeah, it'll be like a little bit within this range. And then it just like blows that away.
By the way,
kind of
the thing that everybody gets wrong about Plan B's prediction is he says 288, but then he says that that's the median price and it overshoots 2 to 3x. So that's what you should really be expecting, somewhere between 500 and 800.
Yeah, and I'm kind of leaning, given on like our pace in comparison to 2013 and 2017, and in comparison not on a calendar year, but based on when we actually had the halving. That's kind of what I'm basing it on. And it seems like we're moving at a quicker pace than 2017, but not as fast as 2013. And so that puts us somewhere in the middle. And based on like how quickly it moved in terms of 2017 since the halving, that puts us somewhere 800 to 900K as like a blow off top. Will that play out? I don't fucking know. Like, does anybody really know? Probably not. But
no one knows.
Yeah. But that's my guess. That's my most educated.
But all these motherfuckers are bears, right? Like no one knows where we go, but they're all fucking bears. Like, what the fuck?
Drunk Odell is my favorite.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate you, Ben.
I'm so glad. Are you going to be at
Drunk Caps Hotel?
Yeah. Are you going to be in Miami?
Of course I'm going to be in Miami. Miami's going to be fucking dope as fuck.
They're doubling the price of their tickets tonight. I got mine for $20. How about you?
Yeah, I got mine for $20 too. Low time preference, bitches.
Well, you would have had to have bought the tickets for Bitcoin 2019, or sorry, for Bitcoin 2020, which didn't happen.
2020. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm super stoked for that.
Go on, Ben. You go first, dude.
No, you go. I was done my thought. I'm stoked for Bitcoin 2021. That's it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm fucking hoping I can make it. I was actually gonna say, like, I've become. I know we're talking price and stuff like that, but I've just become so numb to price these days. Like, it doesn't. Like, I don't know if any of you guys are sort of like feel this way as well, but like, I deleted Trading View. I don't have any more pricing apps on my phone. None of that shit. Like I've literally automated away any semblance of price. The only indication I get of any pumps or anything like that is if I jump on Twitter and people are fucking making noise about something. But I have literally no fucking concept. Like, for me, like, my life doesn't change until Bitcoin's at least $1 million. At which point, I would consider, borrowing against my Bitcoin to go and do shit in the real world. But until then, like, I don't know. I just like where we are now for me is fucking annoying because 4 or 5 months ago I was buying way more Bitcoin with my dollars and I was fucking cheering. Now I'm like, Jesus Christ, like my $500 every week or whatever doesn't buy anything. So it's not like, I don't know, I think we're in limbo until, like, I don't think anything changes until Bitcoin is at least worth $1 million. And whenever that happens, it happens. But like, I don't know, that doesn't change anything for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo that.
We're just
Moscow time is where it's at. We just need to be on Moscow time. That's the real measure.
It's all just more being right. We're fucking right, and we're just going to be more right going into the future. It's just more rightness, just more winning. That's all it is.
I
100%.
love it.
It's funny. I was actually I was on some dude's podcast today who was trying to pitch me that fucking Monero was the game, and it was just cringeworthy, man. It's like some of these Monero shills are like it's funny that they've got a similar sort of vision as to why it's important to defund the state and all this sort of stuff, but their fucking strategy is like ridiculous. They think that by ducking, dodging, and sending each other monopoly money privately is how we're going to bring down the state, and it's so fucking dumb. Like, just to sort of what HODL said, it's like, if we are so economically right that we have the economic mass to call the fucking shots, then we know we won. Until then, like sitting here fucking hiding behind Monero and little fucking pissy transactions, it's like it's so pathetic, man. Like, so yeah. Feel good to be right.
Somebody in the
feel
chat
really,
said-
really, really fucking good. So right that we can fucking call all the shots.
Somebody in the chat said Saylor held this all together. After he left, Matt got drunk and HODL ate a tuna sandwich.
Did you eat a tuna sandwich?
It was turkey and mayo.
Because I definitely got drunk.
I ate a sandwich too.
You know what? I like this because this is giving me some nostalgia for the first appearance of American HODL on TFTC when you guys got drunk as fuck.
Yeah,
and
it was so hard to get him home.
Oh my god, Matt had to put me in the cab, bro. I was I remember me and Matt.
He doesn't remember.
Shoving hot dogs in my mouth. I was like, yeah, we should totally move to Wyoming, bro.
I was like, listening to that.
I was like, let's go.
That was back in the day when New York was, when we had like some respect.
We got to do another drunken TFTC in Miami and just get so, dude. The last 30 minutes of that podcast were such a mystery to me. I was like, I have no idea what we fucking talked about.
I was stone cold sober listening to that. I was going on a road trip through Florida. And like my wife and infant child were sitting in the back of the car, and I'm just jacked on this. Yes, my wife's like, "What are you listening to? Who are these idiots?" It was great. I loved it. It was one of the most bullish podcasts I think I've ever listened to. Everybody that's still here that has endured this drunken bullshit, like post real talk. Go back and listen to the episode of TFTC where American HODL comes on for the first time, because they get just shit loaded. Yeah. But there's so much truth in there, because I remember Odell talking about buying Bitcoin at a Bitcoin ATM for a 30% premium, and HODL's like, it's the best fucking thing you ever did. Best fucking thing you ever did. And he
we were like
right.
7K or 6K a Bitcoin or something, right? Back in the day.
Yeah, we were at like we were at like 8K when we recorded that podcast. You know, I went back and listened to that podcast a little while ago. We sound like fucking prophets, and not just us on that pod, but just all of us on Twitter. Like,
well, literally, I mean, RHR has been going on. RHR has been every week for 2.5 years.
That's what got us through the bear market.
Every week we fucking did RHR.
And dude, like
2.5 years.
People need to look at themselves and legitimately ask themselves, why do these idiots on Twitter know? Why did they all know what was going to happen? In unison, they called their shot like a bunch of fucking fortune tellers, and then it happened exactly as they fucking said it was going to happen. Ask yourself why that is. What do we fucking know that you don't know? A lot, apparently. You know what I mean? Maybe you should pay attention. Your strategy hasn't been working out so well for you, has it? Like, check yourself. You suck. You suck at investing. Tahini's restaurant is better than you. Okay? Jessica Vaughn, former Playmate model, is better than you. Everyone's better than you. We're all better than you. You suck.
If somebody like scrubbed through this podcast, it would be so different from the beginning to the end. That's exactly how I hoped for this to play out. It's excellent. The guys and gals at Citadel 21 say keep drinking and keep ranting. I don't think there's any plan to let up. Of course, any of the panel that are not having a good time are welcome to step out. I appreciate you regardless.
Capitulate. Go ahead.
I've still got a bottle going here, so I don't know how you guys are. There's people
that drunk Matt Odell energy, you know.
Oh yeah, and I see the chat. Like,
you're telling me to like ease up on drinking. Like, who the fuck are these people?
Who are you?
There's a steady.
Yo, I really appreciate your podcast. Like, do you have a podcast?
This is so great. There's such a mix of like this is the best pod ever, and there's half of the people are like, oh, okay, I think I'm done with this, and then the other half are like, drink more, keep going.
If you don't like,
they're like
this
hating
part of
on
the
me. Like at
podcast,
least the
you're
drink
not a
more
real
people.
Bitcoiner.
The drink more
Yeah.
people understand. They understand.
If you don't like this part of the podcast, you're a cut coiner. That's what Matt Odell would call you. Okay.
Yeah, I had that
Listen,
domain.
I'm having the time of my life. This is like one of those epic movies where it goes through like a whole bunch of different. Actually, there's a movie that this reminds me of, and I don't know the name of it because I was in Thailand and it was like an Indian movie where they have like 6 different acts to it, and it's like this non-cohesive story, and it's somehow a musical also, but it shifted from like such a different feel from the beginning to what it is now, and it's just. It's beautiful. I'm gonna keep going with this. Let's let's keep it going. And I agree with the guys at Citadel 21. Which, by the way, if you're not subscribed, awesome articles out of these guys. And I'm getting the hard copies.
I'm currently suspended on Twitter, so if you don't see me around for the next 12 hours, that's why. Just saying.
Great, awesome, that's fantastic. So,
what'd you say this time, HODL?
I have no idea. Honestly, I felt like I was being really nice and respectable.
I love it. Okay, so we have a mix of what 200K on a low bearish end to like. Was there anybody like Odell? Did you say your number for end of year?
Yeah, 500.
I said 500.
Me and Matt have the same one.
Am I the most bullish person?
Wait,
here
no,
for
fuck
end of
you,
year?
bro. What do you think?
I said 800.
800 by the end of the year?
No, 800 within the year, and then whenever that happens,
and then we fall
starts
down.
to drop. Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
you think we peak? Okay, I'll agree with you.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I won't let you.
And what do you,
I'm
and
not
what do
gonna
you
let
think,
you.
and
be-
what do you think for 2022 and 2023?
Tina, I think you're a bear.
I think we're
so
gonna have a winner, dude. We're gonna have a Bitcoin winner like we always do, and we're going back to 6.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy you don't agree with me. I'm so happy.
I'm gonna remind you of this when we're in the fucking bear market.
I am so happy.
All right.
I disagree with.
I like to
Tina.
be out there. I like to be out there alone with my views. That's what I like.
Okay,
Honestly,
that's
the
good.
bear market is better. It
I
is.
think the bear market is better. I will say I disagree with Tina. I think we still have that blow off top. I think it sinks down, and I think it's not like it might be muted a little bit. What was the last drop was what 80%? Was it 80?
Yeah, ish.
Yeah,
right.
80-ish.
I'm either going to be really wrong or I'm going to be really right. So I'm prepared to be really wrong, and that's okay. But I might be really right, and so I'm good with that.
I think that's
you're
fine.
fucking bear.
I think Tina and Matt need to take a bet.
I'm totally
Put
fine.
some fucking skin in the game, you pussies. Take a bet.
I got a bet. I own Bitcoin. That's my bet, baby.
Take a bet with Matt.
I
God
don't
damn it.
need to make a bet. I make a
Tina,
bet.
Tina.
I don't do that. See, I don't. waste
Tina,
my, hey,
Tina.
I'm not a degen like you, American HODL. I don't waste my goddamn Bitcoin, baby.
Yo, Tina.
Some bread.
I'll give you a good deal. I believe
No.
that will be over 300K by the end of the year.
Nope, not betting. No. Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. You want to bet over 800K by the end of the year? I'll take that.
300K. I said
I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
Macroeconomics.
No, because that's
Wait,
rounding
I already
error.
have the third bit
I
team
said
setting up
between
the
2 and
DLC for
3.
this.
That's easy. But I gave you between 2 and 3. I'm not going to bet that. That's a dumb
What
bet.
about 5? What about Matt Odell's
No,
end of year
800
prediction?
I'll take a bet over 800, but I'm not going to bet much. I'll bet 10,000.
Okay, so freaks.
I don't
Freaks
bet.
listening, Tina was lying to you. His real number is 800K.
I don't bet.
He's confident that my 800K will not hit, but he's not nearly as confident that your 500K won't hit.
Well, it could hit. Look. I have a different point of view than people, and that's fine. But I don't bet. I'm already long Bitcoin. It's good enough for me. Anyway, I'm too old. I don't have the time to make it back. So you guys are much younger. So
It's okay, bro.
I can't take that risk. I feel comfortable just owning my Bitcoin. I love owning my Bitcoin.
I know it's true. It's true, Tina. Like you really don't like talk to people about like how much conviction you have about Bitcoin or like try and show it to them in any kind of way. So like it makes sense that you have like a number that you hold to yourself.
I'm very shy about Bitcoin. It's true. I'm very, and I'm quiet about Bitcoin. I never yell.
The beautiful thing here is, regardless of any of these predictions, all of our actions, other than if a bet was actually placed here, all of our actions, it won't fucking matter anyways, because all of our strategies are stack sats and hold forever as long as humanly possible, and which becomes when Bitcoin is just a Bitcoin standard. So regardless of predictions and back and forth, everybody here is going to be fine, even if like Bitcoin scenario, like if Tina's scenario plays out, or Odell and the rest of the panel's blow off top scenario plays out. It doesn't matter. It does fucking matter.
It does matter.
All of us are fine.
I took a walk earlier today. I took 2 different walks, and all I'm thinking about while I'm walking,
shitty walks,
is how to stack more sats. What can I do to stack more sats? That's all I think about. All I think about is how can I stack more sats? What can I do that's not crazy, that costs me money? I don't want to cost myself stats. So I don't want to lose sats. What can I do to make more sats? It's all I think about. I don't think about anything else except stacking sats. It's really kind of pathetic for a man my age, but that's all I think about.
Somebody in the chat said, take a shot every time Matt slurs a word. I'm going to change that. I'm going to say smash by every time Matt slurs a word. But let's keep rolling here. HODL, how's the sandwich?
It was good. It was good. My wife made me a sandwich. Respect. It was a tasty sandwich.
Fantastic. Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
HODL's with you. It makes you cheapo sandwiches. You know what I mean? Think about it.
Okay, so we're not in consensus around our year-end price targets. The plebs are pretty bullish. It seems like everybody who's in here is like shitting on Tina. Sorry, Tina. Alex.
Yeah, Alex, I mean, people wouldn't shit on Tina if he didn't have a shitty fucking prediction. You know, like he made his name. His name was supposed to be Bullish Tina, and then like
you're
he's
supposed
bears
to be the most bullish guy, man. You let us down. We were counting.
That's fair.
I am prepared to wait out your disappointment into 2022.
That's great, dude. I appreciate your conservative investment. No,
it's not conservative. It's not conservative. I am totally prepared. I am totally prepared to wait that out. I can handle that. You know, I'm older than you, Matt. I'm older than all you guys.
We're all aware of this, Tina.
I am prepared to wait that out. That's fine. And in 2022 and 2023, when you guys come to me and say, you know, I sold a bunch of Bitcoin at 300K, and I wish I didn't do that because now it's sitting at 700K and I own less. I am prepared to have a drink with you and help you feel better. But I won't give you
fucking selling. I don't think any of us are selling, no matter what.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're preaching to the wrong choir. You're preaching to the people that will be selling at 300K when it peaks out.
Listen, I've been holding Bitcoin since 200. It's 62,000 now. You think I'm gonna sell? It goes to fucking 800,000? No, because each coin is worth untold millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars.
Trillions. Really, trillions. Honestly, trillions.
And this it's going to go.
Tina, are you buying? Levels. Are you buying right now?
Me?
Yeah.
Tina does not stack.
Are you buying?
I don't have an income. You understand?
Okay, so Tina's a bear. Matt is buying. Matt bought $500 more today.
Matt, I think you weren't.
I just sold my fucking car.
Matt is working 5 jobs to make sure that he fucking stacks as much as possible right now because
and
he knows we're fucking going up.
Unless
you're
all
just
of
being a
us,
fucking
unless
bear.
all of us are in a, if all of us are in a deep squat right now and sitting on chairs, then we can talk shit.
You
But I
fucking
see,
bitch.
like, are we sitting on chairs? I see
Everybody
a
has
lot of
computer.
Matt has a
Bully.
chair.
You're telling me
Why
I'm
you
bully.
sell- Hey,
What the
look,
fuck,
American
man?
HODL
What
just
the
sold
fuck?
his car. So Matt,
That's true.
You got
Matt's
to
in New
level up
York. He
to
doesn't have a
American
car.
HODL.
Fuck you, man. You stack some sats.
Oh, great. Awesome.
If you
I
do
love
have a
it.
car though, seriously, that has equity in it, go to fucking.
I have a
Farm
car.
App.
My car is older than Bitcoin. Fuck you.
That's fine. If your car doesn't have more than like 20K in equity, that's fine, totally. But if that's a stack and sats mobile, but if you have like decent equity in your car, like I was sitting around being like, why the fuck is there $40,000 sitting in my car? Fuck that.
Yo,
So I just went-
Bitcoiners should be able to go to a place without another person bringing them there. So, like, you should own a car. You should own a vehicle. Your vehicle should be cheap as fuck, so you can stack as many
Uber.
sats as possible.
Get
But
an
you should own a
$800
vehicle.
car. You know.
What? Okay, I have a question here, and this is I'm totally derailing the conversation, which was pristine and fantastic and not unhinged at all. But
Totally normal,
but-
respectable.
and
Michael Saylor would
unfortunately,
be proud.
and what I meant to say, fortunately, I'll be passing this to Matt Odell, the most sober of the bunch. But what I will say, somebody was asking about Luke Dash Jr. And with Taproot, I don't know if you've been watching this, but basically they implemented speedy trial, which is like minor activation. If it fails, then it's just moot. Like nothing's going to happen after 3 months. And then I haven't followed exactly, but Luke Dash Jr. just launched like another like version of the protocol, which could be like basically a user activated soft fork in protest of speedy trial. Like, do you know what's going on here? Have you been up on this?
Yeah, so he launched a user activated soft fork client, which anyone who was here for the last cycle is aware of what that means. That means node runners force everyone else into wherever they want to go. The nice thing about this UASF is that it's after an MASF, which is a minor activated soft fork. They have the option to signal first. If they don't signal after 3 months, then it goes into effect. So that's what's going on right now. People are freaking out. This is our advantage. Stay humble, stack size.
So is this, are people freaking out because the what Luke dropped is not compatible with Bitcoin Core, and it could like is that the deal?
It's only not compatible with Bitcoin Core if in like 12 months or 18 months, whenever the fucking it locks in.
Okay.
If he doesn't have a threat, if there's no threshold at that point, then it becomes an issue. But I think it's pretty safe. I think the lock-in is like October 2022 or something like that.
Mhm.
So like, if we don't have a lock-in on Taproot by October 2022, then I think most people would think like it's a miserable failure. Right?
Yeah.
So that's basically the plan. The plan is you have a client that sets it up so if speedy trial fails after 3 months, we have a client that automatically adds Taproot in October of 2022.
This is kind of the game theory that played out with Segwit 2x, right? Like it was like if the miners can't fucking do it, then we do it ourselves, right? And some people seem to be shitting on Luke Jr. for even putting this out there, given that there seemed to be relative consensus on the way that they were rolling this out. But I mean, I'm kind of all for it. Like if for him to just roll this out and drop it and be like, hey, you know, if you guys can't get your shit together, then people have further recourse to actually activate this. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, do you, Matt, do you think that's somehow a threat? Do you think that people are worried about this unnecessarily, or do you think it's fine?
I think some people should take it as a threat, and that's why it's important. I think that the way Bitcoin governance works is it's just all fucking chaos, right? And you just have people pointing guns at people's heads.
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of Bitcoin governance, right? And that's where we are right now.
Bitstein had that amazing tweet where it was all the guys from Reservoir Dogs pointing guns at each other and just said
exactly.
Bitcoin governance. Yeah.
That's where we are right now. It's just like everyone's pointing guns at each other's heads. And like really in practice, like the miners are gonna fucking signal for this in the next 3 months, and none of this fucking matters.
That's true.
And it just all comes down to if they don't, hypothetically. That's the beauty of speedy trial, is like, let's just get this over with. Like they're all gonna fucking do it.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, guys. I have a family and a newborn, and I do have to start wrapping here. First, I want to say, holy shit, I can't believe that the panel even came together in the first place. And shout out to all the Bitcoin Twitter plebs that even made this materialize. And the people that, like, there's some of you that are sitting here that have been sitting here for damn near 3 hours, like both as audience members and some as a mix of audience members and panelists, and some just straight as panelists. HODL, I'm looking at you. Made it all the way through here. It's been 3 hours of gradually degrading conversation through alcohol consumption. And so I thank you all for being a part of this. I'm going to go down the panel of everybody who's here and get any final thoughts that they'd like to throw in. HODL, I will toss it to you first. Any final thoughts that you want to toss in here?
The 2 cardinal sins in Bitcoin are, number 1, not being bullish enough on Bitcoin. That is a massive sin, and you will be punished for making that sin. Sin number 2 is falling in love with a shitcoin's marketing. So if you're going to buy a shitcoin, don't be the one that gets stuck holding the fucking bag thinking Dogecoin is actually going to meme itself to the moon. Dump it for Bitcoin. See rule number 1. The end.
Amazing. Let's toss it to Matt Odell. Before you give your final thoughts, I want you to let me know, on a scale of a regular TFTC episode to the HODL episode to you drunk as fuck on top of the roof at Bitcoin 2019.
I was
how
for that.
Yeah, how are you drunk? How drunk are you, like, right now?
Like 6.
6?
Like a healthy 6.
Healthy 6. Okay. I don't know.
Does that make
I don't know what is 10 the rooftop?
I'm like 40% of a mezcal bottle.
That's
Okay.
6 right there.
Does that answer your question?
Sure.
I would say in terms of drunkenness, I am enlightened.
I'll take that. I'll take it. I will settle for that. Final thoughts.
I want to thank you for having me. I appreciate you for having me on here. I want to thank all the ride and die freaks in the comments. You people complete me. I hope that most of you will join us in Miami and I can meet you in person. That'll be fucking really cool. Unlike all these bears, I think we will be at least at 200K at that point. They're all like, oh, you're going to be at like, oh, we might just gracefully break 100K at that point. Okay, cool. I think we'll be significantly past that. And I look forward to doing that with you guys. I think by the end of this year, we will be comfortably over 400K. I really think we'll be comfortably over 500K, but all of you guys are bears. So I'm going to go with 400K because none of you guys will even fucking go that far. So I'll use a lower number. And I think that it's very important that you people realize that the Michael Saylors of this world don't care about you. Okay, the Dan Helds of this world Dan Held already has his automated tweet out for 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, and it's going to be like, retweet this if you think Bitcoin's better than gold. It's going to be some stupid fucking tweet. He doesn't care about you. All that matters is that you stay humble and stack sats. Okay, like don't care about the paid groups. Don't care about the fucking paid education bullshit, and just take care of yourself, because at the end of the day, your grandkids are going to ask you in 60 years, what the fuck were you doing? What were you listening to Sir HODL? You know, were you getting your fucking stacks down? And make it happen. Like, just fucking do what needs to be done. And I just want to say that the pleb army is my people, and I've been accused many times of calling FUD, privacy FUD, all this shit. I want you people to have your shields up. Don't turn your back. Like, war is brewing, and we need to be ready. And when we're ready, we need our people to be ready. If our people aren't ready, we're fucked. So I appreciate all of you. You're my people. I love you all. Stay humble, stack sats. Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, no worries, man. And actually, I might get you to add one thing. I did, at the very beginning of this chat, I said, if Saylor is creating a dragnet on all of us, here are some links of tutorials to help you with privacy. Have you created any tutorials in regards to that people might check out?
BitcoinPrivacy.guide.
Awesome. BitcoinPrivacy.guide. Head there. Check it out now. I'm going to pass it to Alex. Any final thoughts here, dude?
Final thoughts. Fucking made my day. That shit was hilarious. Final thoughts. I mean, like I said before, you know, until Bitcoin's at least, you know, until it cents at parity, you know, we just need to keep fighting fucking good fight. At that point, we'll be able to start making, you know, more important moves, I think, in the real world. But yeah, I just think nothing fucking changes. The mission is still the same. People need to just fucking continue. Like, I'm writing an article now called ending fiat is fascist and communist, you know, Bitcoin is freedom and sovereignty. And it's like, if you're literally holding any of your wealth still in the fucking slime that is the US dollar or any other fucking form of fiat, you're just supporting that corrupt, broken, fucked up institution. And we see how dumb that can get over the last 12 to 18 months. So I just think, you know, this is, you know, buying Bitcoin isn't just an economic imperative, it's a fucking moral duty. Like, if you want to have an impact on the world, get the fuck out of that game and come into this one. It's, you know, have some self-respect, for fuck's sake.
I love it. Awesome. Thank you, Alex. And let's pass it to Tina. Tina, closing thoughts.
Bitcoin is the Iron Man. It is the ultra of ultra marathons. It is not a sprint. It is not a short-term thing. It is not a one-year thing. It is for the win, for your lives. Bitcoin will be the one and only money accepted by everyone everywhere in 13 to 28 years. That's what's going to happen. Stack sats. Stay humble. Keep stacking. No one owns enough Bitcoin, except for possibly Michael Saylor.
What's the price at the end of the year?
Michael Saylor saw his yachts.
I'm thinking where it's going, and you're just not thinking far enough.
What's the price at the end of the year?
Bitcoin, I don't know, and I don't care, because I'm thinking 2024, 2025.
Tina, what's the price at the end of the year?
2030.
I love it.
What's the price at the end of the year?
Higher. It's going to be higher. Too many people are going to lose too much Bitcoin because they think they know what they're doing and they can trade it, and you can't trade it. You're going to fuck it up and you're going to lose your Bitcoin. Don't do that.
You fucking bear.
It's gonna be higher. Yeah. Caps Odell can say whatever he wants, but I'm looking for the Iron Man Ultra Marathon.
You have so much conviction, you won't even tell us your price for the end of the year.
I don't. I have
so much conviction. You have amazing amounts of conviction, and you won't even tell us the price.
I have so much conviction. I don't need to tell you.
You have so much conviction. The immense amount of conviction. You won't even tell us the price.
Tell you.
Cool.
There are few people at my age with my conviction on Bitcoin, and frankly, there are few people at your age with my conviction on Bitcoin. So that's what I will.
Yo, what is your age at the end of the year? Will you tell us your age at the end of the year?
I mean, 900 fucking years old.
Okay, I'm gonna cap it there. That's where.
All
right, guys.
That's
300 years in the last 3.
If you want to learn about Bitcoin, take Pomp's paid course. It's the best. It's only $1,000.
Love you, Ben. Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys. I'm gonna drop you guys out. Everybody, this was an absolute fucking dream of a show for me. Guys, like 3 hours in, the majority of this was spent at 26 or 2,700 odd people watching live. It only ever happened because the plebs on Bitcoin Twitter made it happen. Holy shit. Thank you guys. I had a blast and I got to chat with like some of my favorite people ever. So damn. Thank you guys. This has been an absolute joy. Maybe the Bitcoin Twitter plebs will help me stack another crazy show in the future. But hey, we will see. And regardless of the bearishness or bullishness of the people on the panel, I will say that like, the most bearish person there was like, 200 to 300K. I think we're doing okay, you guys. I think we're all going to be okay. So I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. If you are here listening on the pod after I upload this audio, as always, if you're on YouTube, hit like, subscribe, and share. I can't fucking say it enough. It helps so much. Every time you do that, it pumps this in front of more people's eyeballs. Also, like, really smash that subscribe button. Share any of tutorials that help your friends not get wrecked on shitcoins. You can do that all day long, and it's so fucking helpful. If you want to help out the show in another way, you can hit the sponsors I mentioned at the very tippity top of the show. Ledden, Kobo, Bitrefill, and Billfodl. Links all down below. And if you really loved what you saw and or heard, you can hit me up with a Bitcoin Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page, tippin.me/@BTC sessions. With that, I am out. Cheers to everybody. And I will see you guys next time for your daily session. See you guys. Thanks a lot.
HODL the Bitcoin.